Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto Disown his family and becomes a dangerous assassin through the help of Deathstroke. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. 7-year-old Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki was looking over one of his father's spacetime scroll. It was the third time. His parents had left him behind without even bothering to wake him just 2 weeks ago. Even if I was up already for the trip to begin, Naruto thought as he looked over his father's legendary flying thunder god jutsu. They never even bothered to check on me or even thought of seeing if I was ready. The boy then looked at his hands and could feel the chakra swimming through his body, and that made him seethe in anger. Naruto can feel the chakra, but he just cannot bring it out, unlike his brother, Arashi, the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. Arashi can bring out his chakras so easily while Naruto can't even bring out a splinter's worth. I can still feel the force of that wind jutsu that father had taught him, the blonde bitterly thought as he remembered how Arashi used a wind-style jutsu to smash him against a tree. Kami, I think I can still feel the splinters in my back. He has tried to get his parents to spend time with him, but they were either too busy or too tired to get to him later. Naruto knew that his parents wouldn't train him in ninjutsu, but they could have at least trained him in taijutsu or kenjutsu, but no. They knew he had unlocked his chakra, but when they saw that he couldn't bring it out, they just didn't bother training with him afterwards. They had left him behind and allowed Arashi to use his brother as target practice. "There," said Naruto as he put the last touches on his experiment, "now, let's begin." The blonde then tried to bring out his chakra, and it took him quite a while before he saw a flicker of light. Yes, yes, yes? Naruto thought as the flicker was soon growing. Now. Naruto threw a knife with 3 points on it, his father's special kunai that had the flying thunder god seal. A flash of light shone before his mother, father, and brother were now standing in front of him. "What the?" Minato said as he saw Naruto standing in the middle of a sealing circle. "Naruto, what are you doing? How are you using seals if you can't use chakra?" Naruto chuckled as he said, "You would have known if the two of you assholes had trained me?" Kushina looked at her son and said, "You watch your language, young man. You do not talk to your parents like that." "Parents?" Naruto asked with an insulted look. "You think you have the right to call yourselves my parents after not at least training me in skills that do not require chakra like taijutsu or even kenjutsu, and from the looks of things, fuinjutsu." The red-headed Arashi then charged towards his brother before somehow bouncing off of a wall. "Well," said Naruto with a small laugh, "guess the hero isn't all that he's cracked up to be." "Oh, before I forget?" The blonde inside the seal pulled out a small glass of water as he looked at his former family with a smirk of victory. "Just a little insurance so that you won't bother trying to find me, if you ever want to see a dead weight of a failure such as myself. Wouldn't want to waste your time now, do we?" Naruto said before he smashed the glass on the seal before a bright light shone, blinding the family. "Naruto!" Kushina cried as her son had vanished into thin air, much to her horror. "No." Minato stared at the seal, now ruined from the water, and all he could feel was regret. He failed as a father. Was Naruto here for the past 2 weeks? Minato thought as he crawled to where his son once stood and saw the ink running, like tears. "Naruto, my son, forgive this foolish man." In another world, Slade Wilson had just returned from another mission along with an encounter with one of the members of the Justice League. "Try as they might," said the assassin for hire, "but not even Batman could surprise me." A bright flash of light shone, momentarily blinding Slade as he reached for one of his guns. As the light faded, the assassin pointed the gun to only find a small boy, about 7 or 8 if his guess was correct, with bright blonde hair wearing green shorts and a tan shirt with a spiral-shaped symbol on the back laying on the floor unconscious. "Well, you're not Batman," said Slade as he holstered the gun away before he picked up the boy, but that was a surprise. Naruto slowly woke up to a bright light before his eyes adjusted as he recognized that he was in a hospital room, but it wasn't the hospital in the Hidden Leaf Village. "I see that you're awake," said a cool and collected voice as the blonde looked to see a man with black hair that was slicked back and a small beard wearing an eye patch over his right eye and a suit. "But do not worry, the doctors told me that you were just suffering from a heavy amount of exhaustion." Naruto couldn't understand what this man was saying before he asked, "What did you say?" The man coughed into his fist before he asked, "Can you understand me now?" Naruto nodded as he then asked, "Who are you? Where am I?" The man pulled one of the nearby chairs and sat down. My name is Wilson Slade and you're in a hospital in Gotham. Now, may I ask for your name? Naruto wasn't sure where Gotham might be, and Wilson-san had this trusting aura that also hinted a bit of a killing edge to it. I'm Naruto and I once was part of the Uzumaki Namikaze clan, but seeing how they favor my brother more than they do me, I decided to just drop those assholes. That's quite a mouth you have there, Naruto, said Slade as he was a bit surprised at how a child could act like that towards their family. Was there trouble between you and your family? Slade listened quietly as he let Naruto explain his history before things started to be a bit sour for the assassin. His parents focused more of their time on his brother, who has a powerful demon sealed inside of him. Slade thought to himself with slight disgust, I may be a killer, but even I wouldn't leave a child abandoned just because he looked weak. Even though he had no idea about some of the other things like hidden villages or jutsus Naruto had spoken about, but if not for seeing how the boy arrived, Slade would have thought the boy was creating a make-believe world. Even if the boy cannot access this chakra he speaks of, Slade thought as he contemplated an idea, I can see the potential he has. Say Naruto, Slade asked after the boy finished his story, how about you become my apprentice, as I can see that you possess quite the potential. How your former parents didn't see it, despite being a Hokage and a feared swordswoman. The blonde raised an eyebrow, signaling the man to continue. My line of work, Naruto, said Slade with smirk that lured the boy in, is actually quite similar to the ninja you speak of, but I cannot use chakra. This lack of chakra has never bothered me before, as my skills and abilities are all that I need to get the job done. I can let you decide, but this, I accept, said Naruto without giving Slade a chance to finish. Wilson-sama. The boy is eager. Slade thought as he looked into the boy's ocean blue eyes and saw the will and determination in them along with anger and hate. Are you sure about this? Slade asked as he already knew the answer. You are still a child with so much ahead of you. Naruto shook his head as he said, I'm sure, Wilson-sama. I've always wanted my parents to train me, but seeing how they brush me off while that prick, Arashi, uses me as target practice shows that they never cared about me. Besides, I'm not afraid of a little blood on my hands. Slade couldn't believe it. He was able to get an apprentice to so willingly accept his offer without anything in return. He thought that Naruto would at first refused, but instead the boy accepted the offer without a fight. No fighting, no waiting. Slade was practically given an apprentice and he wasn't going to let this opportunity slip up. The television in the room was soon turned onto the news by Naruto's roommate, who had gotten tired of hearing nothing but gibberish. Stopped by Justice League member, Batman, said the woman on the television as it showed three hooded men being led away by a man dressed almost like a bat. We had Channel 5 News thanks not only Batman, but the other members of the Justice League as well, for their help in the community. Naruto looked at Slade and asked, what was that lady talking about? The man chuckled as he said, she was just talking about a group of heroes known as the Justice League, a league of those who fight villainy and ensure the peace of everyone in the world. Slade caught a scowl on Naruto's face when the word, heroes, was brought up. So there's a group of heroes? Naruto asked with a scowl still present on his face. Sounds like just a group of people who are allowed to beat the shit out of anyone and call them a criminal. A distrust towards the Justice League for being heroes? Slade thought as he was hiding the joy and amaze inside at the statement, this will work perfectly. After getting Naruto signed out of the hospital and into Slade's custody, the new father and son soon arrived at an old abandoned warehouse. This is where you live? Naruto asked before he saw the man press some buttons in a certain series as a door that was hidden in the wall opened up. This is just one of my many homes, Naruto, said Slade as he motioned the blonde to follow him. Of course, since you are my apprentice now, this is also yours as well. As the saying goes, my house is your house. So please, make yourself at home. The only thing I ask of you is that you show respect for me as I train you, and when I train you or decide to take you along with me on my jobs, you shall address me by my cover name, Deathstroke. Naruto got down onto a knee and bowed towards Slade, his mentor and hopefully, a father. Of course, the blonde said his ocean blue eyes were now cold as frozen diamonds. Deathstroke-sama. 10 years had passed as Deathstroke was meeting with Ra's al Ghul at a hidden lair in Gotham. It's been some time, Deathstroke, said Ra's as he and his fellow assassin nodded to each other. You always seemed to love to just disappear from time to time. Deathstroke chuckled behind his mask as he said, well, I had to take some time off so that my son could learn my skills. Ross chuckled as he said, "Finally got back at that former wife of yours?" "Actually," said Deathstroke as his mask hid a smirk on his face, "I'd like for you to meet my business partner, Reaper." At the sound of his name, a young boy wearing an outfit similar to the assassin with the exception of two skull bandanas fixed over his face to align the jaw and cranium with the unclothed section of his face painted black and white to finish the skull that made his face. "It is, bring your kid to work day," Deathstroke said as 17-year-old Talia appeared from the shadow. "That it is," said Roz as Hugo Strange soon appeared. "Is everything prepared?" asked the man as Reaper kneeled. "I have administered a slow-acting paralysis poison to Joker and was able to make it look like a serious drawback to the Titan serum he had taken," said Reaper with a voice changer hidden under the face mask under the lower bandana. "If I may say, it was sort of easy for the clown prince of crime to believe that he is dying. I had even fixed the ballots for Quincy Sharp to be Gotham's next mayor." Hugo patted the young boy on the shoulders as he said, "Good job. Just like your mentor and adoptive father, Naruto Wilson." Reaper remained still as Deathstroke had mentioned of the professor's uncanny skills of the mind. "What do you wish to happen?" Reaper asked as he remained kneeled. "We need you and Talia to keep Batman busy," Hugo said as he gave a calculated look towards the femme fatale. "I take it you know most of Gotham's villains thanks to your mentor." Reaper smirked as his mask mimicked Penguin's voice and said, "I'm sure that Batman wouldn't even see a wild goose chase, even if it involved a real goose." Hugo actually chuckled at the skills the boy before him had presented to him. "All right," said Hugo as Reaper was now standing next to Deathstroke, "let us begin Project Arkham." A few days had passed and Reaper and Talia were running along the rooftops of the now open-aired prison that once was the slums of Gotham. "So what's first, Grim?" Talia asked as she had given her partner the nickname during the mission of throwing Mayor Quincy Sharp into the prison. "I left a small mixture of Titan and a potent venom for Mr. Freeze to find," said Reaper as he and his partner jumped onto the roof of another building, believing that Titan is indeed lethal and is trying to develop a cure for it. "But what about the thug that attacked Bane?" Talia asked as she and Reaper saw the man die from a heart attack. "He died after using Titan." A chuckle was heard from Reaper as he said, "That thug was given a combination of not just Titan, but a hallucinogenic that makes people see Batman that I borrowed from Scarecrow and LSD. I even added a mixture of both rattlesnake venom and venom from a Black Widow spider for an extra kick. That thug would have died way before Titan's effects had worn off as it turned him into a mindless puppet set to kill Batman until Titan had worn off. Damn, this guy's brutal," Talia thought as she licked her lips a bit. "He doesn't take this job of messing with Bruce lightly." The duo then reached the Gotham City Police Department where Mr. Freeze was hiding. Talia looked in Reaper's eyes and saw the message to follow her partner's lead before the two of them kicked the door down. "All right boys," said Reaper with Penguin's voice, "take Freeze and let's get the hell out of here before he finishes that antidote." Talia and Reaper then put on the disguises they had stolen from two of Penguin's thugs and charged in to capture their target. After dropping off Mr. Freeze at Penguin's hideout, the two ran across the rooftops when they saw a group of Tiger police officers transporting a large container labeled Titan before Reaper stopped. "What are you doing?" Talia asked as she saw Reaper point towards the cops. "They're transporting a canister of Titan. What about it?" "I'll be back you guys," said one of the officers as he walked into the alley underneath the two assassins. "Gonna take a quick leak." While the guard was preoccupied, Reaper silently jumped down and gave the man a quick, non-lethal chop to the neck after the man had finished. Talia jumped down to see Reaper just fixing the officer's uniform correctly. "If I am correct," Reaper said as he picked up the helmet nearby, "Batman or Bane will come after this canister and I would like to demonstrate a part of my philosophy I have about heroes like Bat-Teme." "Hey," cried one of the other officers, "how long are you going to keep pissing? We can't have this exposed like this for Batman to steal." Reaper smirked under the helmet and said in a different voice, "All right, give me a minute, just putting the snake away." Talia climbed back up onto the rooftops as she watched the officer regroup with his colleagues. "What are you planning?" Talia thought as she kept an eye on her partner. Time had passed and the femme fatale was on the roof of a building carrying a Tiger officer who looked worse for wear. "What the hell were you thinking taking on not just Batman, but Bane too?" Talia scolded as she roughly dropped the officer. "I thought you would have known better than to hold back when dealing with Batman." The officer removed his damaged helmet to reveal Reaper breathing heavily as the injured assassin removed the top bandana to reveal his neon blonde hair. Talia then watched as her partner removed the bottom bandana to reveal a metal face mask until Reaper removed it to reveal his whole face as whisker marks were adorned on his cheeks while a trickle of blood crept down the corner of his mouth. Talia wasn't sure whether to think that Reaper was completely stupid or incredibly brave for going through a one-sided fight with both Batman and Bane at the same time. "This," said Reaper as his voice was now undisguised, "this proves my philosophy about the kind of hero Bat-Teme is." Reaper spit out some blood onto the brick before he continued. "Bat-Teme is just some angry bitch who is willing to beat the shit out of some criminals, just so he could be a hero." Talia kneeled down as she pulled out a small medical kit that Reaper had her carry and began to tend to the injured teen. "True heroes," said Reaper as the femme fatale tore the Tiger-issued body armor and shirt while listening. "True heroes are willing to remove their personal beliefs and ignore the chains that bound them to behave like the hero the public paints them to be." Talia removed the black shirt Reaper had worn to reveal a huge bruise that was dead center on his chest. "I hope none of your bones are broken," Talia said as she carefully applied bandages on the wound until she could have the doctors back at her hideout examine the blonde. "Please continue." Reaper nodded as he said, "You know some of the criminals here in Gotham?" The injured blonde winced as Talia applied some pressure while wrapping his bare chest. "Two-Face, Joker," Reaper said as he drew a breath, "and all of the other criminals who had their very lives change because of that bastard and others like him who dare call themselves heroes as they fight the never-ending war on crime." Talia helped Reaper put his shirt back on while she hid a small blush at how toned the boy was for his age. "The real heroes," the injured assassin said as he winced in pain after fixing his shirt back, "are willing to abandon their personal beliefs, be it religion or personal belief because of family blood, and do what must be done to bring justice that will only last for so long until one declares injustice for that man's injustice, starting the cycle again once more." "What should we do now?" Talia asked as she carefully helped Reaper to his feet while supporting him. "Let's head back to your hideout," Reaper said as he had his face mask and top bandana on, hiding his real voice and hair. "Money says Batman will soon come crawling to you with some bullshit reason to win your trust. Just play along for now, Talia," before pulling the wool over Bat-Teme's eyes. Talia smirked as she guided her partner towards his little hideout as she began to think about Reaper's philosophy and how the idea rang so true in her mind. "I believe," Talia thought as she carried Reaper as he helped by keeping himself from falling, "that this is the start of something worthwhile." Talia was laying on the floor of the Monarch Theater as Batman walked by the femme fatale. "I'm sorry that I couldn't save you, Talia," said Batman as he carried the now dead Joker. "I also wish that I didn't have to fool you into giving me the antidote under the guise of me finally accepting the mantle of being king of assassins. But I could never be a terrorist like your father was. Forgive me." A few minutes had passed as Reaper walked towards Talia's corpse with a limp in his step and a dart gun in his hand. "Talia, my sweet, little ghost," Reaper said as he ran a hand on the side of Talia's neck. "I wish that it didn't have to come to this." The assassin held his hand at the side of the girl's neck before pulling out two small darts that had gone completely unnoticed. Talia soon jolted awake before holding in a scream of pain as she rolled herself onto her back. "Good thing I had you wear that bulletproof plate on your back," Reaper said with a small hint of joy in his voice. "Why did you have to shoot those pressure points?" Talia asked as she couldn't feel much movement. "You know how much pain I'm in." "Well," said Reaper as he soon sat on the floor next to Talia, "you're the queen of assassins now that Hugo and your father are dead." The femme fatale knew that Reaper was right as she had taken the test before and passed, and now that Hugo was gone and Batman was no longer worthy in her eyes, it was up to her. "What do you wish to do now, Haim?" Reaper asked as he knew that Talia was already over the deaths of her father and Hugo. "Dinner and a movie back home?" Talia glanced at her partner, no, her new boyfriend, and said, "How about I have dinner and a movie while you cater to my every whim until I'm better, starting with getting me out of this dump before you fix me something good." Reaper chuckled as he picked up Talia, bridal style, and walked away towards one of the many lairs that he and Deathstroke have hidden away while wondering if Talia wouldn't mind going on a few dates once she recovers. Unbeknownst to the two, Deathstroke was hidden in the balcony and heard everything that his son and possible daughter-in-law had planned. Young love, said Deathstroke as he smirked under his mask with pride. Kids grow up so fast. Hello everyone and welcome to Carson's Corner, said a brown-haired man wearing a navy blue suit and blood-red tie as he walked into the spotlight of the stage. I am Jacobs Carson and with me today is none other than the ever-so-talented Mr. Fox himself, Naruto Wilson. The lights slowly lit up to show a mahogany oak desk and two red leather chairs, and sitting in one of the chairs was a young man with spiky blonde hair wearing an ivory black suit. Jacobs sat in the chair behind the desk before turning towards the blonde-haired man. Mr. Naruto Wilson himself, folks, said Jacobs with a bright smile. He is one of the most youngest, if not the youngest, and most talented 19-year-old in America. Former professional MMA fighter, award-winning actor, who performs his own stunts and much more, and master of the multilingual lingo. He is indeed the real fantastic Mr. Fox. Naruto gave a quick and professional wave to the crowd along with a smile. So, Mr. Wilson, Jacobs asked with enthusiasm, how is it that someone so young as yourself became such talented individual? Well, Carson-san, said Naruto as he kept his smile, my adopted father once told me that I just cannot stick to one talent. Flashback. Young 13-year-old Naruto was deflecting sword blows from Deathstroke while shooting a small Uzi at a cutout of Batman. How the hell is this supposed to teach me about how to fight Bateme? Naruto cried out as he tried to keep the Uzi's sight on the Batman cutout. You must not rely on blade and gun alone, you cannot stick to one talent. That will just lead you to your death. Flashback end. After that, I applied myself in my education, Naruto continued as he leaned back in his seat, which of course aided me in learning about the many cultures along with the languages. Aside from my native Japanese language, I then learned English from my father, Spanish, French, German, Russian, and even a touch of Arabic. The many language classes had helped me with my travels around the world. Flashback. A Russian millionaire was lounging in his library as he rang a small bell before a young teen with slicked-back blonde hair bringing in a small box of cigars along a bottle of the finest wine and an empty glass. Cigar or wine, Mr. Dokostiv? Asked the teen in Russian as Mr. Dokostiv pointed to the box. The teen prepared the cigar and handed it to the man before lighting it. Wine for later, sir? Asked the teen before the man in the chair waved him off for him to leave. Very well, sir. It wasn't until 4 days later that Russian oil tycoon, Ivan Dokostiv, was found dead in his library and the body of a young blonde teen was found dead with a fatal head wound in a nearby alley. No one had paid attention to a man in multiple raggedy coats as he said, too easy. Flashback end. I have even spent some of my free time learning different forms of martial arts, Naruto continued as he brought a hand to his chin, and of course all that training had indeed strengthened my body, but some actors are saying that I'm own bodyguard. Naruto rubbed his face as he looked at the crowd as he then said, of course, sorry to say ladies, this beautiful face has taken quite the few hits. Flashback. 15-year-old Naruto laid on the floor, beaten and bruised, after a long training session of nothing but Deathstroke using so many different forms of martial arts. Did you really have to beat the crap out of me? Naruto asked through his swollen face and lips. Deathstroke crouched over the blonde and said, did you really think that I would try and kill my own apprentice? I'm hurt, son. Now get up and go through the stances I showed you. Naruto slowly got to his feet and began training as he mentally called his father, mentor, a one-eyed sadist. Flashback end. So that sort of explains my many talents, Mr. Carson, Naruto finished as he turned his attention to the show's host. Wow, said Jacobs as he looked at the audience, when I was his age, I was just getting by my second year of college. The audience laughed at the cheap joke before Jacobs put his hands up to silence the audience. So, Mr. Wilson, Jacobs asked with a small smile, having met the amazing members of the Justice League yourself, do you have a few words for our audience on your ideas about these great superheroes? The blonde was silent for a bit before he chuckled. Well, Mr. Carson, Naruto began, hiding a coy smile. All I can say about the Justice League is that I thank them for aiding not only our boys in blue, but our military as well in handling some of the more dangerous criminals. But I would also like to add that they should let some of our law enforcers and military men at least handle some of the weaker criminals. Naruto saw the small, uncomfortable look on Jacobs's face before he then said, now, I am in no way saying that the Justice League should just sit back and wait, but instead, Let our hardworking police force and military handle the less serious problems. True that the proud members of the Justice League had handled the criminals that our hardworking men and women cannot handle, such as Poison Ivy, Giganta, and occasionally Bizarro, but I sometimes see them stopping common thugs and punks while our boys in blue are still after them. Jacobs chuckled nervously as he then asked, You really don't mean that, do you, Mr. Wilson? Now, Mr. Carson, said Naruto with a hurt voice, you are misunderstanding me. True that the Justice League are saving lives, but they themselves cannot deal with all crime, as that would put our hardworking officers out of a job with, at times, nowhere else to go. Naruto then leaned forward as he then said, to me, some of those heroes take things just a tad bit too far. Batman, for example, beats all forms of criminals all shades of black and blue before hanging them upside down by their ankles. Now I'm no medical expert, but wouldn't hanging someone who had been beaten till they are black and blue upside down cause further injury to the brain? Well folks, it's time for a commercial break, said Jacobs as he quickly stood up from his seat. Stay tuned and we'll talk more with Mr. Wilson right after the break, here at Carson's Corner. Diana Prince, Wonder Woman to the public, was in her room after grabbing a few snacks as she decided to watch Carson's Corner with Helena Bertinelli and Dinah Lance at the insistence of both women. I can't believe what that Naruto guy is saying about us, Wonder Woman thought as she had even seen the boy up close. Still, what is his problem with Bruce? Due to an unfortunate incident backstage, Carson's Corner will not continue as programmed, said the television, getting all three women's attention. What? Cried Helena and Dinah in shock of their favorite show being interrupted. How could they not finish Carson's Corner? Calm down you two, said Wonder Woman as she rolled her eyes, annoyed by the two heroines' attitude. It's just a television show. Helena and Dinah looked at Wonder Woman with angered looks as Dinah said, just a show? Carson's Corner is not just a show, as Jacobs Carson had so many legends on stage with him. Morgan Freeman, Johnny Depp, even Sam Elliott of all legends. I hope there's a bad guy for us to catch soon, Wonder Woman thought as she listened to her two colleagues list off the many other pointless trivia of that stupid show. Probably best that the Mischief didn't have this kind of stuff. A week had passed as Deathstroke was looking at the newspaper as the door opened to reveal Naruto Wilson, who was sporting a few small bruises, entering his lair. Talk show host, Jacobs Carson, arrest for assault on a celebrity, and both drug possession and usage, said Deathstroke as his eye never left the paper. Sounds like you're slacking off. Naruto sat in the chair in front of Deathstroke and poured himself some grape wine and said, Oh please, Deathstroke-sama. Those were self-inflicted wounds, as I wanted to send a message to our proud heroes of the Justice League, and let them know of the truth of even trying to be a hero. Slade lowered the paper as he watched his adoptive son take a sip from the glass of wine. It has been 12 years since the boy was placed under his wing as a son and as an apprentice. The assassin was amazed at how fast the kid learns, as Naruto was a prodigy to even outwit expert chess and shogi players at the age of 10, and he took martial arts like a fish to water, even after a few one-sided beatings. Swordsmanship was even practical, as the blonde had even admitted that thanks to the woman who sired him, sword fighting was in his blood. Slade soon found himself seeing the boy as a son much more than Batman's own apprentice, Robin, and Naruto just had that aura about him that told the assassin that this boy needed the kind and stern love that only a father could give him. Yes, in all his years, Slade Wilson could truly say that he was happy to have brought Naruto under his wing. Aren't you too young to be drinking alcohol? Deathstroke asked as he placed the newspaper on the table. A year and a half later you'll be joining me, Naruto countered after taking another drink. Then again, we already shared a drink after my first political assassination. That one was one of my best kills yet. A chuckle escaped the masked man's throat as he remembered that day, as Naruto was so nervous, even after performing such an amazing job as he killed an important political member in Bialia with such professional ease. I only shared that drink with a 14-year-old because I was so damn proud of my son and apprentice, Deathstroke countered with a small smirk behind his mask. And I was never more prouder since that day, Deathstroke mentally added as he sent that Deathstroke glare, that Naruto calls it, my son. Might as well make that drink last, said Deathstroke as he then pulled out a box, because it's time. Naruto nearly choked on the wine, but careful enough to not spill any of it, as he saw the box Deathstroke slid towards him. Really? Naruto asked as he had a feeling of what was inside the box, You really think I'm ready? Deathstroke nodded before Naruto picked up the box and headed towards his room to open it, with his mentor knowing that the blonde was going to love the little graduation gift. The sounds of boots clicking on the floor was soon heard as Deathstroke had removed his mask to drink his own glass of grape wine. "Well, Deathstroke-sama," Naruto asked as he gave his mentor a stoic, yet menacing, stare, "what do you think?" "I think," Deathstroke said as he sent a smirk towards his apprentice, "you're ready for your first solo act, Reaper." Night had fallen and Metropolis and Justice League members, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Superman were fighting off Giganta and Livewire. "I thought we've taken care of the both of them the last time." Green Lantern, John Stewart, said as he tried to trap Livewire, but the electric woman kept jumping from one electrical device to another. "Hold still." Superman flew towards the giant woman and gave her a quick uppercut to the jaw, sending Giganta tumbling backwards. "Time we finish this," said Wonder Woman before a figure in a raggedy black cloak and face mask over a tannish skull mask stood in her way. "Get out of here, it's too dangerous." "I know," said the figure with a distorted voice as he pulled out a pistol and aimed at Wonder Woman's face. "Name's Reaper and I'm sort of new in town. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to kick Super Tommy's ass for hitting such a beautiful woman." Before Reaper could move, Wonder Woman quickly subdued him with his arms behind her back. "Ah, geez," said Reaper as he grunted in pain. "Never thought that Wonder Woman would be the dominatrix type. Hope you like some pain yourself." Before she could question what the hooded figure had meant, Wonder Woman soon found her eyes burning from a hidden compartment that shot mace in her eyes. Using the heroine's pain to his advantage, Reaper quickly gave her a powerful headbutt before punching her hard in the gut. "Don't be mad at me," said Reaper as he held a small syringe. "I'm just helping two ladies in distress." Diana felt the needle jab into her arm before she began to feel dizzy. "This is only a slow-acting and harmless concoction I created should I ever be asked to make others suffer," said Reaper as he removed the bracers on the heroine's arms. "I'm not going to kill you right now like some amateur." "No, your insurance." Green Lantern had just inquised the two women inside of a sphere as he and Superman flew up towards one of the buildings. "I wonder where Diana is," Superman asked before he and John saw a figure holding Wonder Woman with his arm around her neck as he pointed a gun at the heroine's head. "Wonder Woman," said Green Lantern as he was about to charge when a gunshot rang through the air. "I wouldn't move if I were the two of you," said the figure. He held the gun in the air before pressing the hot barrel near Wonder Woman's temple, getting a pained wince from the woman. "One wrong move and we'll be having our own biology class involving remnants of a human brain, or..." The two superheroes saw the figure move the gun to the side of Wonder Woman's waist. "Or she will never have children again," said the figure as he glared at the two heroes, challenging them. "What do you want?" Superman asked as he saw Wonder Woman acting weakened. "Simple," said the figure with his disguised voice as he motioned to the two captured villainesses in Green Lantern's sphere. "You let me and those two ladies leave and I'll give you back your precious I'm here, alive." To prove that I'm not bluffing about hurting her, the figure quickly shot Wonder Woman in the foot as the heroine let out a cry of pain before feeling the gun against her head. "I'm not going to ask again," said the figure with his glare still on Superman and Green Lantern. "Let those two go with me, and I'll spare Diana's life." "Why are you helping these two?" John asked as he wanted to try and reason with this figure. "They're criminals." Silence was heard as the two heroes felt a chill down their spines from the hardened glare on the figure's eyes. "You call them criminals?" the figure asked as he looked at the imprisoned women. "Do you not understand that you are doing far more harm than good? Let me ask you this. What makes a hero?" "The want to protect innocent lives," both men answered at the same time before John added, "and stopping criminals like these two." The figure looked at the two before he said, "Typical and predictable, but I asked you what makes a hero, not the reasons. You heroes always believed that by stopping a few criminals, crime will go down. That's a load of bullshit if you ask me." John held his free arm to motion Superman to not rush in as the figure then said, "If you really want to stop evil, then blood must be shed by the hero's hands, as throwing the more dangerous criminals in jail will never stop them, just hold them back. I have always believed in the idea that one man's justice is another man's injustice, as that has always rang true in my heart and soul." "You actually expect us to kill these criminals?" Superman asked as Livewire had a frightened look on her face. "We will never lower ourselves to their level." A sigh was heard as the figure said, Again, a typical and predictable answer from a hero. Haven't you ever wondered how their lives were ruined by your actions? Leslie would believe me, as you could have prevented that accident that brought her to where she is now. John sneered as he then asked, what did you mean by, one man's justice is another man's injustice? The figure kept his glare on both heroes as he then said, even if you stop one crime, two more will just happen without you knowing of it. You throw a bad guy in jail here while miles away from here, a woman is about to be raped and a kidnapped child is about to be sold to a powerful drug dealer. There will always be a constant battle against good and evil. Sometimes I wonder if a few of you just called thuggish-looking people a criminal just to beat the living shit out of them, much like Bateme. But enough chit-chat, said the figure as he pressed the barrel into Wonder Woman, so what do you two say? You let me and those two pretty ladies leave and you get your Heim back. John growled as he thought over his options. Let two criminals escape or let Wonder Woman die or suffer. Come on, the figure egged on, my hand is starting to cramp up, including my trigger finger. Damn it, John cursed as he had no choice, we'll let them go. Superman looked at the Green Lantern member with absolute shock as he said, you can't be serious about this. I'm fast enough to. Bang. Wonder Woman held her scream as the bullet was burning in her thigh. That is the second strike, Super Teme, said the figure as he pressed the hot barrel into Wonder Woman's temple. One more strike like that and you'll be down one of your more attractive members. Superman stared at the individual as he was tempted to melt the guy's brain right there. But he couldn't, as whoever he is, he would come up missing and his blood would be on Superman's hands. John moved the sphere gently onto the ground before letting Livewire and the unconscious Giganta out. Now see how easy that was? The figure said as he looked at Livewire, go wake your friend. A small electrical shock should be enough. The electrical villainess complied as a small zap caused the other villainess to wake up. Where are we? The woman asked as she looked around before she saw the figure holding Wonder Woman. Who's he? You're way out of here, said the figure without looking at Giganta. Now since you're awake, wouldn't mind taking us out of here. The figure looked at the two heroes and said, I'm taking Wonder Woman here as a little insurance so that you don't try anything, but don't worry, I'm not going to kill her unless you teens try anything. Oh, but that would go against your hero code. Nevertheless, we shall be making our escape. Giganta was already in her giant form as she set a hand down so that Livewire and the figure could get on. The giantess walked away with the two heroes following to ensure that this figure would honor about keeping Wonder Woman alive. So why aren't you killing her? Livewire asked as she felt safe with this guy. While I am an assassin, said the figure, I do have a code of honor and I cannot cross my client unless they cross me first. But still, I know that they wouldn't risk their Heim's life just to stop three powerful criminals, including Deathstroke's own personal apprentice, Reaper. The three women were surprised that the famed assassin had an apprentice after that whole fiasco with the Teen Titans. This is far enough, said Reaper as he faced the heroes, now to honor my end of the deal. Reaper had Livewire tie Wonder Woman's bracers to her uninjured thigh before kicking her off the giantess's hand. John and Superman flew down his face as they can before catching their colleague to save her from certain death. Superman looked around to find the criminals when John said, we need to tend to Wonder Woman's injuries. Letting out a sigh, the Man of Steel brought a hand to his communicator and said, Watchtower. This is Superman, we need medical attention in a pickup. Ew, said Livewire as she, Giganta, and Reaper were traveling through the sewer. Why are we traveling through Shit Street? Reaper continued ahead as he said, it is a much better way of travel as we are not as open and with their colleague injured, we have a head start. Should the need arise, we can make a city block collapse just to make our escape. Giganta looked at the filthy sewer water as she said, not the cleanest escape, but I'll buy. So, Reaper was it? Livewire asked with an uncomfortable feeling, were you really going to shoot her, there? Reaper gave the villainess a short look as he said, of course not. I may be an assassin, but I'm not that cruel. I do have a code of honor that forbids me from doing such harm. The two villainesses gave each other a quick look at their savior's attitude or wondered what Reaper's code of honor involved. Hopefully we can trust this guy, both women thought as they exited the sewer to find a small boat waiting nearby. Well, ladies, said Reaper as he looked at the two women, I'll take you to one of the many safe houses. I would also like to offer the two of you an opportunity to work with me. Reaper jumped into the boat and grabbed 2 different bundles of clothes and wetsuits before tossing them to the 2. "Change into these," said Reaper as he got a look from Livewire. "I won't look and one of you can stay here and make sure that I don't take a peek. Once changed, jump in the boat and I'll take you to a safe house where we can lay low for a while." The 2 women reluctantly agreed to change into some new clothes and the wetsuits. They were a bit surprised that Reaper did keep his word and didn't even take his eyes off of the moon hovering over the water. Once everyone was on, Reaper sped the boat away towards the ocean. "So why did you have us change our clothes?" Giganta asked as she felt constricted in her wetsuit. "You can never trust those who call themselves heroes, as Bat Teme would have placed a tracking beacon some time ago to keep tabs on all criminals," Reaper said as he heard Livewire calling the caped crusader a pervert. "Also, the 2 of you are going to be sticking out like sore thumbs. Especially since Livewire-chan could pass for an albino and Giganta-chan would have been running around in a loincloth." Livewire carefully moved closer to Reaper and asked, "So this offer of yours?" Under his mask, Naruto gave a confident smirk as he knew just the job for Livewire and said, "I believe that I know quite the job for a former radio star who can turn herself into electricity." Caribbean sunlight was shining inside the room and into Livewire's face as the villainess was stirred from her slumber. She got up from her bed to reveal the dark blue nightgown that she created by altering the electrons of her clothes before changing them back. She was wearing the clothes that Reaper had given her, which consisted of dark blue pants, an ocean blue top, a black vest with a lightning bolt design on the back, a long blue scarf, and leather boots. That was a good night's rest," said Livewire as she stretched the knots out of her back. "Much better than the beds back at that prison." "I'm glad you had an enjoyable rest," said a voice as Livewire looked to see Naruto Wilson holding a silver tray that had a bowl of cereal, a plate of light golden toast, and a glass of orange juice. "I spared no expense to ensure that all my guests are comfortable." "Holy shit," the villainess said as she jolted fully awake. You're Naruto Wilson." Naruto chuckled as he then said, "And you, Livewire-chan, are a guest of my lovely abode." Livewire saw Naruto set the tray on the nearby desk as she said, "I thought this place belonged to Reaper? Where is he, by the way?" The blonde gave the villainous a smirk as he brought out a tannish skull mask from behind his back, the same mask as Reaper. "Believe it or not, Leslie," said a familiar voice as Livewire looked to see Giganta wearing a leopard print 2-piece bikini with a red towel with tropical designs on it around her waist like a skirt. "Mr. Wilson here is indeed our savior, Reaper. I see you came back from your trip to my little part of the beach," Naruto said with a small smile on his face. "Hope the locals didn't give you too much trouble, especially the paparazzi." Giganta chuckled and said, "The locals here seem to like you, as even some of the children kept the paparazzi at bay. But I'm here to talk about that offer you gave us last night." Naruto hummed before he said, "Ah, yes, but how about we wait until Ms. Willis has freshened up before we go into any further detail?" "No need," said Livewire with a small hidden scowl on her face, "since I can transform into electricity, which is insanely hot in temperature by the way. My body's clean enough that you could eat right off of it since I'm constantly disinfected." Naruto raised an eyebrow as he also heard the villainous mention about never having a relaxing bath anymore before he said, "Anyway, I'm sure that you would like to have your breakfast in peace before we talk about my offer." "I don't mind," said Livewire as she picked up a small piece of toast while handing another piece to Giganta. "So what was that offer, as you never really explained that much last night?" Naruto's face took on a stoic tone as he sat on the nearby chair and said, "The offer I have for you two is actually quite simple. I am looking for a small alliance with those who are willing to combat the Justice League under my orders. So far it is just myself and my fiancé, so I am searching for those who would willingly join us and follow my orders." Naruto looked at Giganta as he said, "Giganta, with your size manipulation you would mostly be part of the more combative team that will occasionally serve as a diversion so that the covert team can cause the real havoc. Of course, once I gather more members you will be placed on a 3-man team with others and the teams will be adjusted to cover any weaknesses of the members." Naruto then looked at Livewire as he then said, "Livewire, your ability to not only manipulate electricity but to transform into electricity makes you perfect for the more covert missions as one of my spymasters. You could use your abilities to gather information and go from one place to another through wires to be the perfect spy. While you would mostly gather information, You will see some combat as you are a walking taser since you can incapacitate any foe into submission. So what is all this for? Giganta asked as she took a bite of her toast. Just a little project I have planned for the Justice League, said Naruto with a small smirk on his face. You don't have to take up the offer right away. Just think about it for the next few days or so. The blonde then got up and said, I'll be around should you ever want to talk, but think about what I have told you. After Naruto exited the room, Giganta looked at Livewire and said, so what do you think? Should we join him? Liverwire brought a hand to her chin as she said, not sure. I mean, I would love to get back at Soup and his buddies, but would I be able to work for him as a spy? Giganta shrugged her shoulders as she said, well, it wouldn't be much different than working with Luther or Grodd with me as I couldn't do any of that covert stuff. Livewire leaned back as she thought more about the offer before Giganta surprised her as she said, he is kind of cute though. Where did that come from? Livewire asked with a bit of a blush on her face. Well, he is a celebrity and is quite the charmer, said Giganta with a teasing smirk on her face, but I prefer the strong, alpha male type honestly. That's right, Livewire thought as she remembered something about the woman next to her, you're a genetically engineered ape. Well, said Livewire as her mind was still on the blonde, I think those whisker marks make him why and he is more hospitable than most celebrities are. Giganta chuckled as she thought, well you better remember about his fiancée, Leslie, as I am sure that she would also fight for his love. In the Watchtower's medical bay, Wonder Woman was lying in bed with her injured leg in a cast after having 2 bullets removed from it. This Reaper, Batman asked as he had never heard of Deathstroke having an apprentice, what did he look like? Wonder Woman looked at Batman and said, he was wearing a raggedy black cloak and a face mask over a skull-like mask. The suit he was wearing had to have hidden compartments under the wrists that allowed him to get me with pepper spray, and he knew a thing or two about poisons as he used something to make me feel weak. Batman nodded as he looked at Superman as the Man of Steel said, I couldn't get much of a look as he held Diana in front of himself and I. A small blush was seen on the Man of Steel's face as Batman and Wonder Woman had gotten the idea. So how are we going to deal with Reaper? Wonder Woman asked as she crossed her arms. I kind of want to get him back for that cheap shot. Batman looked at Wonder Woman and said, we will handle him, Diana, while you rest. The injured woman grumbled a bit about having to stay here as the 2 heroes left the medical bay. As they were walking through the halls, Superman looked at Batman and asked, what are we going to do about Reaper? He was taught by Deathstroke and he's a feared assassin. Going by what Reaper had said to me and John, I take it he has it in for us, especially you. Batman continued walking as he said, wouldn't be any different if he was taught by Joker or Poison Ivy. I've handled Deathstroke before, so his apprentice wouldn't be any different. I don't know, Superman thought as he remembered last night, he could just be better than what I saw. On Earth, Naruto was at his beach house on the Caribbean islands when the phone rang. Talented Mr. Fox speaking, Naruto answered with a small smile on his face. Yo, Foxy, said a voice on the phone, it's me, Sparky. The phone sparked a bit before a small bolt of electricity shot out to reveal Livewire wearing navy blue bodysuit and a matching vest with multiple pockets. Any information, Inazuma-chan? Naruto asked as his face became stern and professional. It has been a week since he saved Livewire and Giganta from the Justice League and offered them temporary sanctuary at his beach house. The celebrity-turned-assassin also offered them to work for him in fighting the Justice League, but the only one who took his offer was Livewire as she sort of wanted to help take Superman down a notch or two. Since then, Naruto had Livewire, whom he had dubbed Inazuma when she worked for him, use her ability to travel around the Caribbean islands using her powers and gather information. Aside from a lot of bullcrap on the internet, Livewire began as she sat in the chair next to Naruto. I did get some credit card digits and bank numbers. Naruto poured some grape wine in a cup before putting a lid and straw on it and handed it to his accomplice. Anything else? Livewire shook her head as she said, nothing too important as this place here is practically a resort. Just some petty thievery, Naruto thought as he took a sip of grape wine from his glass. I tell y'all I never would have thought about using my powers for all this spy junk, Livewire said as she took a sip of the soda. I could have really messed with Soup so many times. And now that you are working with me, Naruto said after taking another sip of the soda, we can mess with all of the Justice League, thanks to you, Inazuma-chan. Too bad Giganta couldn't take the offer and left when Luther-san arrived. Livewire chuckled as she used her powers to change her outfit into a dark blue two-piece bikini that hugged her curves and said, her loss. Naruto leaned back as he decided to relax a bit before going out to mess with the League some more as he got a nice view of the villainous tanning before him until the phone rang again. Talented Mr. Fox speaking, said Naruto as he kept his eyes livewire as she tanned. Hello, son, said the voice, revealing itself to be Slade Wilson. I heard about how 3 of the Justice League members were ambushed by someone named Reaper and he escaped with 2 criminals in tow. The blonde chuckled as he said, wow, they must be getting sloppy considering how Wonder Woman was actually shot twice by the guy. I have also heard that one of the criminals have gone missing for about a week, but I'm pretty sure Livewire-chan is snooping around somewhere in the electrical system. A chuckle was heard from the other side as Slade then said, I better go before this piece of shit phone decides to cut me off. Before I hang up, could you bring me a blue Thunderbird? Naruto smiled as he said, sure thing, Dad. The line went dead before Naruto hung the phone up and said, I think we should pay my mentor a visit as he wants us to bring him a Thunderbird. Livewire chuckled as she thought, boys and their fast cars. Wonder Woman was hobbling through the halls on crutches towards the mess hall after a few days of bed rest when she saw Batman's protege, Robin, talking to his mentor. He sounds like Slade, the boy Wonder said with a bit of anger. I wouldn't be surprised if he had gone for a 3rd apprentice. In fact, before Reaper appeared, the person who stole my red X suit had vanished along with the suit. Batman hummed at the time his apprentice had gone undercover as Red X before someone had stolen the suit before disappearing some time ago. Greetings, said a bright and jovial voice as Wonder Woman looked to see one of the other members of the Teen Titans, Starfire. You must be Wonder Woman, I am Coriander, but everyone calls me Starfire. Wonder Woman chuckled at the girl's energy and said, it's nice to meet another member of the Teen Titans as all I have ever seen was Robin. Where are the others? Starfire floated next to Wonder Woman as she said, Cyborg had gone with Jean Jones to check the system of the Watchtower, Beast Boy had gone to the Hall of Mess, and Raven is with Dr. Fate and Jason Blood. Starfire saw Wonder Woman's leg and asked, may I ask what happened? Diana saw the girl looking at her cast before she said, my team had a bit of a run-in with a new villain calling himself Reaper. He's pretty manipulative as he held me hostage. Even shot my leg twice before threatening to kill me or make me suffer. The alien girl sighed and said, this Reaper sounds similar to Slade as he had also manipulated Robin and a few others to do his bidding. I would not be surprised if we had met faux Reaper before. Starfire might have a point. Wonder Woman thought as she and the Tamaranian journeyed towards the mess hall. Who knows how long Reaper's been around. In the village hidden in the leaves, Minato Namikaze was on his family's training ground as he worked on trying to perfect the Rasengan by adding his elemental nature to his invention. 12 years, Minato thought as he tried to catch his breath as his mind drifted to his lost son. It has been 12 long years since you left us, Naruto. The Namikaze had tried his damnedest to try and bring back his son as he tried different spacetime formulas and even consulted with the Toads for advice on finding Naruto. The Toads were pretty pissed about how Minato didn't give his son any time or day because Naruto couldn't mold his chakra. Minato also remembered that he gave a special test for a ninja, Rock Lee, as the boy showed great promise even without the use of chakra. Lee passed with flying colors. After the attack during the Chunin exam and some problems caused by Arashi during the exams, Minato decided to step down and name Tsunade the 5th Hokage. It took so much tears, blood, and even begging from the former Hokage to convince the Slug Sannin to return as Minato had even bowed and cried in front of others before Tsunade. Out of all of us, Minato thought as he let out a sigh, you loved Naruto more than we have, Tsunade. Inside the Namikaze Uzumaki mansion, Kushina was looking at old pictures of her family and only noticed how the pictures after the day Arashi came into contact with the nine-tailed fox that Naruto was slowly fading away into the background, like a ghost. Naruto, my little maelstrom, Kushina thought as tears formed in her eyes as she watched the smile fade into a stoic look on her son's face before seeing how Naruto's body was slowly melding into the background of each photo. She could name Arashi's flaws, favorites, and even the redhead's embarrassing secrets while with Naruto. She couldn't even remember the sound of the blonde's voice without crying as she would remember that day. Kushina's own students had disowned her for abandoning her own flesh and blood child. Anko, Kurenai, and Yugo had turned their backs on her with just cause, as even Kushina would have done the same if the shoe was on the other foot. Wherever you are, my little maelstrom, Kushina thought as a tear fell on the last happy picture with her and an infant Naruto being held by Kushina's now former students. I hope you can forgive me for what I have done. On Training Ground 7, Chunin Arashi Namikaze Uzumaki was breathing hard after a long solo session of training to let off some steam. I'm 19 years old and I'm still a damn Chunin, the young red-haired man said as he looked at the scarred area. This is all Naruto's fault. Ever since Naruto had to try to show their parents that he is worth something, things have gone downhill very fast. Arashi's father had passed a pathetic ninja who couldn't even mold his chakra, as Rock Lee showed great promise and determination during that special test. Then during the preliminaries of the Chunin exams, Arashi decided to use the nine-tailed fox's powers to show Lee that he would never amount to anything as a ninja that only uses taijutsu. The taijutsu expert would have died if Minato and the senseis didn't stop Arashi, but Lee's chakra and nervous systems were completely fried beyond recovery, ending the boy's career. Then Arashi was paired against a Hyuga girl that had a crush on his brother, and again, Minato and even the Anbu stepped in when Arashi once again used the fox's powers and gave her an awful one-sided beating before frying the girl's eyes out with demon chakra. The Hyuga clan was never more pissed than before. After the invasion from Sound and Sand, the council had deemed Arashi a danger and a threat and would have been executed for his actions were it not for Arashi being the son of a great war hero. The council had voted to strip Arashi of his rank and sealed his chakra for 3 years before going before the council once more after a psyche evaluation. He had barely made it, as Inoichi noted Arashi's hatred towards his missing brother, but the council decided to unseal his chakra and give him back his rank with the added addition of not only having Anbu watch over him, but have an ANBU that had the Mokuton ability to act as a leash should the red-haired ninja step out of line. Arashi, said Yamato as he was keeping an eye on the red-haired man along with the other Anbu members hidden in the trees. I believe that is enough training for today. Arashi stuffed his hands in his pockets and walked off, as it would be best to comply before the Anbu had to cart him away, again. Mark my words, brother, Arashi thought as he left the training grounds with the Anbu following him from the shadows. I will make you pay for this. At one of Deathstroke's lairs, Naruto and a disguised Livewire entered where Deathstroke and a young woman, about 19 or 20 years old, wearing blackish-green pants and matching jacket that hugged her body with what could be a blood-red shirt under the jacket, were waiting. She also had blonde hair that reached down to the middle of her back and a very long sword was strapped onto her back. Is that, Livewire asked in shock, Talia al Ghul? A member of one of the most feared assassin groups and one of the ones behind that Arkham City project? Hey Grim, said Talia with a strong and refined voice, haven't seen you since your time on Carson's Corner. Can you believe that Jacobs Carson was doing drugs before the show? Naruto chuckled as he said, shocking, isn't it, and he even had the gall to attack me. You just don't know people, do you, Uraheim? Talia smirked as she knew what was hidden behind that faux disbelief, as she knew what was really said. I done it just to give those heroes a message about their ideals. Who's the new girl? Talia asked as Livewire removed her disguise. Livewire? Why did you bring her here? Naruto chuckled as he said, she is working with me as my personal spy by using her unique ability of electrokinesis to travel any form of electrical system and gather information. I had even set up a little training schedule for her as she accepted the offer. Talia smiled and said, it's nice to meet Grimm's new spy. As you have already know, I am Talia al Ghul and Naruto's fiancé. I can tell you have a thing for him, don't you? Livewire said nervously as she tried to think of something before giving up. I kind of do. Foxy has that charm about him and those whisker marks make him why. The femme fatale chuckled as she turned toward Naruto and asked, Grim, is it alright if I show it to her and talk to her about something? Naruto nodded as he said, of course, Uraheim, but if a fight is about to break out, please do call me as I really don't want to miss a thing. A small giggle was heard from Talia as she escorted Livewire through the halls. As they traveled, the electrical villainess looked at her guide and asked, I guess you're going to tell me that Naruto's off limits? I can take a hint. Talia gave Livewire a glance as she said, We'll talk about that later as I am going to show you his wall of victims. Sort of narcissistic, Livewire thought until she and her guide reached a small room. This is Grimm's room, Talia said as Livewire was sort of shocked to see different kind of guns and bulletin boards hanging on the walls, at least here anyway. Over here, Talia continued as she pointed to a specific bulletin board near a small desk, is his wall of victims. Livewire examined the wall to find newspaper trimmings, but instead of people Naruto had killed or ruined, they were clippings of other villains, on the days their lives were forever changed by certain heroes, with Batman having far more than Superman's, as the Caped Crusader even had his own bulletin board. The electrical villainess scanned the newspaper clippings until she found two certain articles: the day she had the accident, which had read, "Shock Jock shocked. Superman at fault," and the day she was captured, the night after Livewire was born, which read, "Shocking new villain arrives." Why? Leslie asked in disbelief. Why does he keep newspaper clippings of those days when we became criminals? Talia walked towards the woman and said, he keeps them as those trimmings remind him of why he dislikes the Justice League, as he once told me that most monsters are created by the very heroes that are praised and loved. Joker, Two-Face, Grimm even has a recording of Lex Luthor telling him about the day Superman had ruined his life. Leslie looked over some of the other trimmings from Batman's personal bulletin board that Naruto had set aside. The Caped Crusader had created more of his adversaries than even the very Man of Steel that sort of created Livewire. Naruto had told me of a philosophy about the many heroes that make up the Justice League, Talia said as she sat on the bed and motioned Livewire to sit next to her. After the electrical villainess took the offer, Talia continued, he told me that there is always a boundary line between good and evil that only the public sees, while that line doesn't even exist. He even said that there is no true hero that will not sacrifice personal beliefs and leave the chains of the public that bound them to bring real justice. In order to bring that justice, blood of the guilty must be shed, and even though that blood is shed, there will always be injustice in the world, as one man's justice is another man's injustice. Livewire looked at Talia as she remembered the very day that Livewire was born. Superman had pushed her away after she had verbally bashed him, and she became a freak and a criminal while he became a loved hero. He has even proved it as he had tried to attack Batman during Project Arkham, Talia said with slight anger in her voice. Grimm's bruises had bruises and a few broken bones when he was attacked by Batman and Bane. The femme fatale looked at the ceiling as she then said, I have never heard a philosophy ring so true in all of my life that I sort of fell for him. Seeing how Batman treated him, I couldn't even see what I saw in that bastard. Batman once trained alongside us, and this is how he uses our teachings like this. Disgraceful. Livewire also felt her electrical blood charging in anger towards the Caped Crusader at the sheer audacity. Which brings me to you, Leslie, Talia said as she looked gently at the villainess next to her. What do you think about Naruto? Livewire swallowed a lump in her throat as she said, well, at first I thought he was a cruel bastard who enjoys making people suffer, but over the week I had stayed with him, I learned that he's actually a pretty cool guy, as he helped me get better control of my powers while letting me stay with him. I swear we didn't do anything except for looking at each other with a few of those thoughts. We even had bedrooms that were separated by another floor. Talia chuckled as she said, I believe you, as Grimm has told me about you living with him since you became his spy now. Seeing how much you love him, we are willing to give you a try. Come again? Livewire asked in confusion. Did you just ask me to have an affair with him? Talia shook her head and said, no, but mind that if you do, I will personally make you regret that decision. What I'm asking is if you would like to date Grimm while he's with me. Livewire blinked before she said, you mean as in polygamy? Isn't that illegal? Talia smiled a bit as she said, there are television shows that feature polygamy and extended families. What difference is there? We're criminals anyway, so why not? Talia wrapped an arm around Livewire's shoulder, feeling a slight charge from the electricity, and said, look, we are not going to force you into this. You can try this for however long before making your decision. How's that? Livewire thought about what she was offered. Yes, she did like Naruto to the point that she would even admit that it was full-blown love. But this, it would feel awkward and weird and even a little frightful, as she wouldn't be sure if Naruto loved her as much as she does and favored Talia or any other girl that might join. We are going to keep it at us too so that Naruto wouldn't worry too much about having to make time for other love interests. Talia added as she saw a bit of confusion on Livewire's face. The electrical villainess smirked a bit as she said, "Alright. I guess I could give this the old college try and see how things turn out." "I'm glad you're willing to give this a try," said Naruto as he appeared in the room. "I knew Urahime would be best to talk about this. While we do have a few ground rules, I'm sure we can work this out. I do have to admit that you both have lovely bodies and I know I can trust you." Naruto looked at Livewire and said, "While you are new and willing to give this a try, I will let you know that I have my complete trust in you. That means that if you want to talk about backing down, we'll be fine as long as you are completely honest." Livewire gently smiled as she said, "So does that mean I can still call you Foxy?" "Only outside of the workplace," said Naruto as he gave the villainess a happy smirk. "Hibanaheim, my spark princess." Livewire blushed a bit at the little nickname and said, "I'll think of something, bonehead." The trio then spent the rest of the time going over memorable fights and even just idle small talk as they welcomed a new person in their lives. In the watchtower, Cyborg, Jean, and Ray Palmer were looking over a few Zeta tubes and other transporters as they continued some of their discussions. "Sounds like Beast Boy and Flash would make great friends," said Ray Palmer as he looked over some minor details in his shrunken form. "That would be horrifying," Jean added as he levitated some tools to Cyborg. "Now that you think about it," the Teen Titans member said as he picked up a small welder, "if Flash starts to eat tofu and loves it as much as BB, then that would be a real nightmare." The Zeta tube that the trio was working on suddenly sparked to life as they back away. "Whoa, what did you do?" Ray asked in slight fear of an explosion. "Nothing, I was just welding a few things together," Cyborg said as he stared at the Zeta tube. The transporter showed an image and a man similar to Naruto Wilson, save for the whisker marks, wearing a blue shirt with matching blue pants and a dark green vest. "What the?" said the man in shock as he stared at the trio before the Zeta tube flickered dead, causing the image to vanish. "Ukai?" Cyborg asked as he wasn't sure if he should be shocked or confused about what just happened. What the hell just happened? In the Namikaze Uzumaki mansion, Minato blinked in confusion at the image one of his space-time experiments brought up. A man in a red and blue jumpsuit, a young teen in weird-looking armor that almost looked like it was fused to his flesh, and a green-skinned man in blue underwear. "I hope I didn't goof up again," said Minato as the last time he tried to recreate the seal, he ended up getting a beat down for accidentally peeping in the women's side of the hot springs. "But I do have a feeling that I'm getting closer this time." In the watchtower, Batman was talking to Cyborg and John while Ray was looking over the Zeta tube that had somehow gone active briefly a few days ago. "So that Zeta tube had suddenly turned on and you saw a man that almost looks like Naruto Wilson?" Batman asked as John nodded. "Yeah," Cyborg answered with a serious tone. "Just slap whisker marks on his face and you have the talented Mr. Fox." Batman looked over towards Ray as the scientist nodded before continuing to examine the machine. "Alright," said Batman as he wanted to investigate this more for a moment. "We will look into this while the Teen Titans go on patrol in Metropolis. Should you require backup, call the tower, but only for dire emergencies." Cyborg nodded as he headed out of the room to let the other Titans know. "What do you think we should do?" Jean asked as Batman looked at the machine. Grabbing a small welding torch, the caped crusader walked towards the Zeta tube and said, "We should recreate the incident and go from there." At the Namikaze Uzumaki mansion, Minato had just finished telling Kushina and a reluctant Jiraiya about what had happened. Jiraiya didn't want to be here after what his student had done to Naruto, but then again he wasn't half of a godparent Tsunade was. He was glad he did listen as this could possibly lead to Naruto, as the Toad Sage was just as guilty for what all has happened and Tsunade wasn't the same after the little blonde godson vanished 12 years ago. The Slug Princess was gambling and drinking her sorrows away before accepting the mantle of Hokage, but not even all that could make her forget is every day she sees her little Naru-chan when she sees Minato. "So what do we do?" Kushina asked as she recalled everything her husband had said. Minato leaned back in his seat as he was wondering that too until Jiraiya said, "What if we took another look at the seal and go from there? If we do happen to find out more about space-time manipulation, we may be able to find Naruto, providing that those we talked to are willing to help us." Minato looked at his mentor and said, "But even so, it would be a very slim chance of the same thing happening again. Who knows what the next attempt will bring?" Kushina rose from her seat with determination in her eyes and said, "If it's a chance to find our little Naruto, then I'm willing to take that chance, as Naruto needs to know that we're sorry for neglecting him for all those years and let him know that we do love him. I agree, said a new voice as everyone looked to see Tsunade in the open doorway after so many years away since learning of Naruto's disappearance. That is why I'm placing you two responsible for this investigation, as Yamato will be in charge. Now get to it. Minato and Jiraiya stood up immediately as they both said, "Yes, Lord Hokage." Tsunade watched the two men charge up towards Minato's study before turning around as she prayed that wherever Naruto was that he was safe and okay. Cyborg was driving through Metropolis as he and the others had split up to cover more ground. "Anything yet, Cyborg?" Robin asked through the communicator from his location. "Nothing so far," the cybernetic teen said, "just some minor traffic violations that really doesn't require our attention. I'll call if anything comes up." Cyborg continued driving through the road until he saw shuriken jam themselves into the windshield, causing him to screech to a halt on the side of the road. "Hey!" Cyborg yelled as he got out of his car. "Who threw ninja stars at my car?" A loud, metallic thud alerted the Teen Titan to turn around and see a figure wearing a raggedy black cloak and a face mask over a skull-like mask standing on the roof of the T-car. "Guess this is a small world after all," said the figure with a disguised voice. "Never thought I would have seen a member of the Teen Titans again." "What do you think of him, Inazuna-chan?" Cyborg turned again to see Livewire to his side as the villainess said, "He doesn't look like he'll be much of a fight once I hack into his system." Cyborg prepared his sonic cannon as he said, "No one's going to be doing any hacking today." Livewire changed into her electrical form and jumped into a nearby electrical pole to dodge a shot from Cyborg before the hooded figure charged towards the teen. Cyborg blocked a punch and noted that this guy was stronger than he looked and thought, "He's not as strong as Atlas, but he's no pushover either." "Cyborg, coming in." The teen spoke in the communicator, "I'm under attack by Livewire and a hooded figure." The communicator beeped as Robin said, "We're on our way, just hold on." Cyborg nodded before he saw Livewire appear in the driver's seat of the T-car and revved it up. "Nice ride," said the villainess with a smirk, "but my boyfriend has better rides than this. Hope you don't mind us borrowing your car." Cyborg had to jump to the side to avoid getting run over by his own car with a growl escaping his throat. The T-car swerved around and headed towards Cyborg again until Robin sped in on his cycle with his quarterstaff ready for the fight. The sound of metal clicking behind him reminded Cyborg of the hooded figure and he couldn't react in time to stop a kick to his face. "Never take your eyes off of your opponents," said the figure as he rushed towards Cyborg until a green energy bolt hit the pavement before the figure. Starfire flew in towards the cloaked figure and threw a small barrage of starbolts, but the figure easily dodged each shot without much difficulty. "Same old tactics," said the figure as he saw Raven along with Beast Boy fly in with the changeling turning into a bull. "I would have thought that you would have at least tried something new." The figure jumped into a backflip as the T-car rushed through as the figure landed on the dented roof with the car still driving on through. "After them," Robin said as he, Starfire, and Raven rushed towards the direction of the car while Beast Boy changed into a T-Rex and allowed Cyborg to hop on his back before following. The chase continued onto an interstate as Robin had sped closer to the hijacked car until the figure pulled out an Uzi and began shooting at the Boy Wonder. Seeing the two flyers chasing him, the figure threw shuriken towards the two before throwing a knife that had a flashbang tied to it. "Azareth Metreon Zenthos," Raven chanted as she saw the flashbang and encased it in a black sphere while Starfire destroyed the throwing stars. The flashbang had gone off without blinding the two as they continued their chase. The figure continued to shoot at Robin before the gun was magically ripped out of his hands by Raven before she later crushed it. This bought Robin enough time to put his cycle of autopilot and jump onto the T-car. "We have got to stop meeting like this," said the figure as Robin went into a fighting stance. "What are you talking about?" Robin asked as he began to fight the hooded figure while Livewire drove around to avoid Starfire's and Raven's attacks. "I'm hurt, Robin," said the figure as he blocked each attack, using the hidden spikes in his boots to hold onto the car. "You don't remember me from when I stole your other persona?" "Red X," Robin said as he knew that this person was the one who stole the suit. "Where's the suit?" The figure blocked an attack as he held Robin's fists in his hands and said, "I got tired of having to rely on a highly explosive material to run the suit, so I ditched it. The name's Reaper." Seeing Starfire charge towards him, Reaper threw Robin to the side of the road before the Tamaranian flew towards the hero to prevent heavy injury. "Punch it," Reaper yelled as the T-car picked up speed while swerving through traffic. Jumping into the car, Reaper pulled out a suitcase and opened it to reveal small parts held neatly in place by gray foam. With his hands flying around, Reaper jammed in the clip of his newly assembled Alaska 47 just in time to see Robin speeding towards them on his bike. "Looks like we're a regular Bonnie and Clyde," Livewire joked as Reaper leaned out and fired a short burst of bullets towards the boy wonder. "Got that right, dollface," Reaper said in a mock 1920s gangster voice as he jammed in a fresh clip. The assassin was about to lean out when he took a look at the side mirror to see Cyborg riding a green T-Rex. "They have a T-Rex," Reaper said as he looked to see a very large green T-Rex chasing after them. "Got any lawyers to feed it?" Livewire looked at the rearview mirror to see the T-Rex and said, "Sorry, but all my lawyers quit after my little incident thanks to Soup." Reaper climbed back out onto the roof of the car before firing more short bursts towards the Titans. Like before, Raven used her magic to rip the gun out of the assassin's hands and destroyed it effortlessly until she saw a flashbang go off with the disorientation causing her to crash into a sign before falling onto the concrete road. "One down," Reaper said as a large roar alerted him to the charging dinosaur, now to deal with Ugly. The assassin pulled out 2 pineapple grenades and tossed them towards Beast Boy and Cyborg after pulling the pins. The half-robot teen was able to blast one of the grenades, but the other one had gone off next to Beast Boy. Even though his thick hide had protected him from the blast and the less serious shrapnel, the changeling still felt the powerful shockwave due to the explosion as his step faltered. Reaper then somehow had tossed a small batch of grenades that had the pins pulled with a few flashbangs alongside. "Shit," Cyborg cursed as the green T-Rex gently grabbed his arm and tossed him towards the T-car. The explosives had gone off as Starfire caught Cyborg and the smoke cleared to reveal an unconscious Beast Boy laying on the pavement. Reaper smirked under his mask as he pulled out a small pistol, but a flying bird-shaped disc knocked the gun away as Robin was getting closer. "Use the nitro to get a better lead," Reaper said as he saw the passing vehicles that traveled alongside the car. "I'll keep them off your back." Livewire looked to see Reaper just landing on a nearby car before she shouted, "Give them hell, Scully." The assassin nodded as the T-car was now blasting away ahead of the traffic before facing the remaining Titans. "Damn it," Robin cursed as Starfire and Cyborg caught up to him. "Be careful, we can't afford to harm innocent civilians." The two nodded before having to dodge Shuriken as Reaper had just jumped onto another car. The assassin then saw a loaded tractor trailer and jumped onto its side before running up to the top before jumping on top. "Come on," the assassin goaded as he rolled his neck. "Afraid to get your hands dirty? Maybe a robot and a space alien aren't enough to take down little old me? It will be you who will be taken down," Starfire said as she and Cyborg got close enough to land on the trailer before the two of them and Reaper got into their fighting stances. The two Titans charged towards the assassin and threw simultaneous punches towards their target, but they both missed as Reaper slid beneath them and jumped to his feet before giving both of them a powerful kick to their backs. Inside the cab, the driver was hearing a series of dull thuds from the trailers and turned up his music to drown the sound out as he said, "Those dumbasses never get the supplies strapped in properly." Back on top of the trailer, Starfire charged towards Reaper with a haymaker ready, but Reaper had quickly avoided the punch before delivering a series of quick and powerful jabs to certain points on the girl's body. Starfire felt her body freeze up before getting kicked off the trailer and into a nearby truck with its bed filled with cacti. "Starfire!" Cyborg shouted as the Tamaranian girl's painful cries were heard before he faced Reaper. "How did you do that?" The assassin chuckled and said, "I was actually taking a bit of a chance considering that Tamaranians have a similar physical structure to humans with the exception of having to hit a little extra harder. Didn't think it would actually work." Cyborg charged towards the assassin with a punch ready to throw, but Reaper had somehow got behind him and gave the cybernetic teen a powerful knockout chop to the neck. "And then there was one," Reaper said as Robin was still following, "just you and me, little sparrow." The assassin saw a series of tractor trailers and jumped towards one of them while throwing shuriken towards Robin. The boy wonder had to swerve to avoid getting hit as he still chased after Reaper, who was jumping from one wall of a tractor trailer to another while still throwing shuriken and knives at Robin. Seeing the T-car ahead of the two leading trucks, Reaper gave Robin a quick farewell salute before jumping off of one of the two trucks and hitting the windshield of both trucks with smoke bombs, causing the two trucks to crash into each other and setting off a chain reaction of collisions. Robin quickly pulled the brakes and twisted his bike to the side to slide into a stop with his foot as assistance. Unfortunately, the bike had hit a pothole in the road and had pole vaulted Robin into a trailer as the teen was smacked into the metal side, which created a Robin-shaped indent in the trailer. Gravity had peeled Robin off of the trailer and onto the pavement with the teen slowly sitting up. Taking off his helmet, Robin looked to see the massive pileup of tractor trailers and vehicles as he said, "Damn it, they got away." Pulling out his communicator, Robin contacted the watchtower and said, "Robin to watchtower. We need assistance, we ran into Livewire and Reaper. We couldn't stop them and now there's a massive pileup thanks to Reaper. We also need medical attention." Robin held a hand to his aching head as Batman's voice was heard from the communicator. "I'm sending in a cleanup crew and a few medical teams to check on those involved in the collision as well as the other Titans." Robin weakly smiled before succumbing into unconsciousness from his aching body and concussion. Miles away, Livewire smirked as Reaper was now sitting in the passenger seat next to her. "Nice job with handling the brats," the villainess said as she continued to drive down the road. "That truck delivering the cactus was pretty convenient with your fight." Reaper was looking at some of the many gadgets of the car as Livewire then said, "Don't worry Scully, I fried all means of them tracking us, including the radio and MP3 player." A small growl from both Livewire's and Reaper's stomachs was heard as Reaper said, "How about we drop this off at a friend of mine's and grab ourselves some lunch, Leslie Chan? Might treat." The villainess chuckled as she said, "Sure thing Foxy, but first." Livewire pulled to the side of the road before she seductively said, "How about a little brunch of some sweet little kisses? I can have some cream filling later." Reaper removed his masks to reveal his bare whiskered face before the two of them began kissing each other. In the abandoned streets of a dusty town, two cowboys were staring each other down with their hands ready to reach for their guns while the clock tower nearby loudly ticked away. "You must have balls of steels, Sheriff," said the cowboy wearing a black and gold poncho over his upper body, tan pants, snakeskin boots, and a tannish brown cowboy hat. "No sane dumbass would ever go toe-to-toe with Black Scorpion." The gruff sheriff moved the toothpick between his lips before spitting it out as he said, Days of terrorizing this here gulch are over, Scorpion." The two continued to stare each other down until the clock tower had finally struck high noon. "Cut," the director cried out through his megaphone as a bell sounded through the studio, "Great job you two. Bring in the stunt doubles." The two cowboys walked off the stage as two other cowboys that looked exactly like them got on the stage. "Good job out there, Naruto," said the actor playing the sheriff as he removed his hat to reveal an auburn mullet. "You're really playing the villain role perfectly." Naruto removed his hat and began to fan himself as he said, "Thanks. I just wish that I didn't have to wear this damn thing, because I'm sweating buckets here." The other actor chuckled as he said, "Well, we're almost done shooting anyway and I can't wait either. These pants are cutting right into my loins. Maybe I can see if any of the bar dames need help with their costumes." Naruto chuckled a bit as he rolled his eyes at his co-star's antics. "Well," said Naruto as he was fighting the temptation of wiping the sweat of his brow, "unlike you, I actually have a girlfriend waiting for me to take her to dinner after we're done shooting for the day." The other actor smirked as he said, "So the rumors are true that you've got yourself girlfriend. So is she porn star hot or?" Naruto sent the actor a sharp look as he said, "How my girlfriend looks is none of your damn business as we met in an alley. I was running from the more rabid members of my fan club while she was running from a guy who ruined her life. We hid in the same spot and began talking. Turns out that we had a few things in common." "Cut," the director called out as he waved towards Naruto and the other actor, "You two are up now. Make this good so we could call it early." Naruto smirked as he placed the hat back onto his head and said, "Let's see Black Scorpion live to ride once more, shall we?" In the Namikaze Uzumaki mansion, Minato and Jiraiya had just finished recreating the seal from a few days ago and were ready to give the experiment a shot. "There," said Minato as he finished adding the last touch to the seal, "now all that's left is to set it off and pray to Kami that this works out as we hope." In the watchtower, Batman was standing before the Zeta tube as Ray was tightening the last bolt he remembers working on. "All that's left is to tighten this and pray that this works," said Ray as he mentally had his fingers crossed. "Alright," said Batman as he prepared himself for whatever might happen. "On my mark." "One," said Jiraiya as Kushina, Yamato, and Arashi were nearby to watch what might happen. "This better be worth pulling me from my training," Arashi thought as he crossed his arms. "Two," said Batman with a stoic expression on his face. "Hopefully we might get some aid for the Titans," the Caped Crusader mentally added as Reaper had beaten all 5 founding members of the Teen Titans without much effort. "Three," said Jiraiya and Batman at the same time as Minato applied chakra to the seal while Ray tightened the bolt at the same time. The seal's markings glowed a bright gold while the Zeta tube began to spark as a golden ring opened up as a portal that connected the two places appeared. From Jiraiya's, Yamato's, and the Namikaze Uzumaki's perspectives, they saw what looked like a man wearing a dark cloak that was connected to a hood that had pointed tips at the top of the man's head to give the stranger the appearance of a bat. From Batman's perspective, he saw a man that looked like Naruto Wilson, a woman with long red hair similar to Starfire's hair, a boy about Naruto's age that had chin-length red hair similar to the woman and had the man's facial structure, a man with short brown hair, and the last was a man with snow-white hair in a long spiked ponytail wearing what looked like Japanese sage garments. Jean appeared next to Batman and read through the minds of the group before them. The Naruto look-alike was Minato Namikaze, the former 4th Hokage and the feared Yellow Flash, which got a confused reaction from Jean as he also hoped that this man wasn't like their Flash. The woman was Kushina Uzumaki, also known as the Red Hot Habanero and former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Power of human sacrifice, the Martian thought as he hid his disgust at a few images of this 9-tailed fox demon, quite a disgusting and horrible idea. The brown-haired man was Yamato, captain of Anbu. Jean couldn't get any more information from Yamato as the captain seemed to have had some training in dealing with telepaths. The white-haired man was Jiraiya, one of the legendary 3 Sannin and author of the Icha Icha series. Jean quickly decided to leave Jiraiya's mind as many images and memories of nude women, either bathing or having intercourse, were filled inside the man's mind. The young boy was Arashi Namikaze Uzumaki, and that was all that Jean got before something vile and evil kicked him out. Jean sent the information to Batman through the mental link while mentioning to keep an eye on Arashi. "Do not be alarmed," said Jean as he spoke in Japanese, shocking the group. "We were checking a few problems with one or many gateways. I am Martian Manhunter and the man next to me is Batman. Us and a few others have founded an organization of heroes known as the Justice League. If you do not mind, could you please help us?" Kushina interrupted with slight desperation in her voice. "We're looking for our little boy, Naruto, as he's been missing for 12 years. Please, do you have anything that could help us?" Batman turned towards Jean while keeping an eye on the group as the woman pointed to Minato. "He looks like my husband, only with my facial features," Kushina said as she took a few steps towards the portal. "Please, help us find our little Naruto." Jean looked at Batman before he faced Kushina and said, "My friend would like to see a picture of Naruto as we do know of a Naruto and we may know someone who can help." The woman reached into a pocket and pulled out a small picture and was about to give hand the photo when she tripped through the portal. "Kushina!" Minato and Jiraiya called out, but saw that said woman was now on the other side of the portal as Batman picked up the photo with Jean helping Kushina onto her feet. "Jean," Batman said as he revealed the picture to the Martian, "this is a picture of Naruto Wilson." Naruto was sitting at a small table outside a diner in Metropolis with a young woman wearing dark blue skin-tight jeans, black leather boots, and a blue hooded sweatshirt with the hood up. Has been a pretty sweet date, Foxy," said the girl as her light blue lips formed a smile. "I haven't had a time like this since." Naruto placed a gentle hand to comfort the woman and said, "You don't have to worry about him anymore, I'm here for you, baby." The woman looked at the blonde before her and said, "But what if he finds me? What would he do about us? Maybe this wasn't such a good idea." "Please listen to me," Naruto quietly said as he gave the woman's hand a loving squeeze. "Don't worry about what others will say about you, about us. I love you, Sparky, and that will never change. I will even fight all of the Justice League and all of the public so that we could be together, forever." The woman was quiet for a brief moment before she looked at Naruto with confidence and love in her eyes as she said, "Thanks Foxy, you sure know how to make a girl feel special." The blonde chuckled as he said, "Well, my job does teach you a lot about reading expressions and emotions, Sparky. I love you no matter what comes across our paths." Naruto and the woman leaned into each other as they were lost in each other's eyes. They were about to kiss when Sochi called out a voice, startling Naruto and his date nearly out of their wits before the blonde looked up as his eyes widened at the sight where the voice originated from. "Naruto, I'm so glad that we finally found you." Kushina cried as she wrapped Naruto into a tight hug with Minato and Arashi slowly arriving from a limousine with Bruce Wayne standing nearby with a small smile on his face. "What the hell?" Naruto said in shock with his native tongue before switching back to English. "How the hell did you guys find me? We've been searching desperately for you since you ran away 12 years ago, Naruto," said Kushina as she was wearing light blue jeans, black wedge heels, and a forest green vest over a tan shirt. "Your father was able to get a hold of Wayne-san who had helped us with our search." Naruto looked to see Bruce give him a small wave and thought, "Fuck you, Bateme." "Naruto," said Minato as he sat next to Naruto with the other patrons and civilians looking at the two blondes as if a full-grown man had just given birth to a clone of himself right before them. "We are so sorry that you felt neglected and abandoned. If you come back to us, we can become a family once more." "No deal," Naruto yelled as he stood up from his seat with his date right next to him. "You've had chances to make us into one big happy family and the three of you assholes just stomped all over it." Arashi, wearing black jeans, heavy steel-toed boots, and a leather jacket over a blood-red shirt with a biohazard symbol on his chest, took a few steps towards Naruto and said, "Stop being a bitch about me being better than you. I'll always be better than a freak like you. Bet that woman's nothing but an ugly whore." Pow! Arashi didn't see Naruto's fist flash in his face before the force knocked him tumbling onto the table, knocking it over and spilling the contents of fries, ketchup, and mustard all over the redhead. "Arashi," said Kushina as she saw Naruto and the woman getting ready to run away when Minato quickly stepped in their path. "Naruto, please wait," said Minato as held his hands between himself and his son. "We're sorry about Arashi's attitude and behavior, we'll make him apologize." Naruto sent a dangerous sneer towards his former father as he said, "You and your wife should have fixed that years ago when he would beat the living shit out of me. Now get the fuck out of our way. Now you're going to fucking pay, you piece of shit." Arashi roared as he quickly got to his feet and charged towards Naruto. Using his martial arts skills, Naruto slammed his elbow into Arashi's face before giving him an open palm strike to the chin. The former MMA fighter then grabbed Arashi's wrist and threw the stunned redhead over his shoulder, knocking Minato down before grabbing his date's wrist and running away. Wayne-san mentioned that Naruto knew some of the taijutsu of this world called martial arts. Kushina thought as she tried to help her husband and red-haired son to their feet, "But I've never thought he'd use his skills on us." "That's it," Arashi roared as his violet eyes were slowly beginning to glow red. "I'm going to fucking thrash him." "Arashi, that's enough," Minato roared as both he and Kushina held their wild son back. "Now you're going to stay here with Wayne-san while your mother and I go and talk to Naruto. We are going to talk about this later." Watching his parents rush in the direction Naruto and the woman had gone off to, Arashi let out a low growl before picking up a nearby chair and smashing it against the concrete in a small but threatening tantrum. Some of the patrons had fled as the manager angrily walking towards the teen, ignoring the threatening aura, until Bruce got in his path. "I'll pay for the damages," said Bruce as he tried to keep the man away from the raging Arashi as a table had smashed through the glass windows and sending more patrons running in fear of their lives, all of them. Naruto and his date was running through the street and dodging people left and right in hopes of losing their pursuers, but Minato and Kushina stayed on their tail and somehow catching up to them. "Naruto, please stop," Minato called through the crowd of people, still creating the same shocked looks as the patrons from the restaurant. "We just want to talk to you." Kushina quickly squeezed herself through a passing family as she said, "Look, we're really sorry about what Arashi had done back there. Just come back to us and we'll be a family once more." Naruto and the woman he was with quickly ran inside a heavily populated market with the couple following them. Time to see if Ureheim's teachings paid off, Naruto thought with a hidden smirk as he saw the heavily populated registers. Aang. Naruto grunted as he suddenly stopped and clutched his chest tightly. Naruto, what's wrong? The woman said as she had abruptly stopped near said blonde. Gasped, I don't know, Naruto said as he fell to his knees with sweat dripping from his brow while trying to catch his breath. Gasped, I can't, gasp, breath and, gasp, my arm and chest hurts. It's gasp, like someone's trying to rip my heart out. Minato and Kushina finally caught up when they saw Naruto fall onto the floor with the woman kneeling next to him. Naruto, the woman said with slight fear in her voice, Naruto, please stay with me. A woman with auburn hair looked at Naruto as she with sudden realization as she said, he's in a state of cardiac arrest. Someone call an ambulance now. Some of the people struggled to get their cell phones out as the woman let out a sneer. Damn it! The woman cursed under her breath, I don't have my equipment. Seeing the distraught look in the eyes of the woman next to her, the auburn-haired woman said, I'm Dr. Rita Jones, an expert cardiologist and well-known pediatrician. We need to get his heart started again, but we'll have to perform CPR as I'm not sure how long it will take for a defibrillator to get here. We don't need to wait, said the woman as she removed her hood to reveal that she was Livewire. I'm a walking defib whatever and I also happen to be his girlfriend. Now let's get to saving my boyfriend's life. Shaking a few thoughts out of her head, Dr. Jones was about to perform chest compressions when Livewire said, please be careful with the compressions as he broke his sternum a couple years ago. The doctor nodded as she said, get ready to give him breaths on my mark. Kushina took a few steps forwards and said, please let me help, I'm his mother. Stay away from him. Livewire yelled as she sent a venomous glare at the red-haired woman with an electrified fist ready to strike. You and your family did this to him. Everyone, save for Minato and the three women near the downed Naruto, backed away in complete fear from the villainess's threat with whispers being passed back and forth. Ms. Livewire, Dr. Jones scolded, grabbing Livewire's attention, I need those breaths. Livewire gave one last sharp glare towards Minato and Kushina before locking her lips onto Naruto's and giving the fallen blonde her breaths. After a few attempts, Dr. Jones cursed again as she said, we need to jumpstart his heart. The doctor took a small knife from her purse and sliced Naruto's shirt open to reveal his toned chest before removing the watch on the blonde's wrist. Ms. Livewire, I need you to place your hands here and here. Dr. Jones ordered as she pointed to Naruto's right pectoral and left side just underneath the left pectoral. You just need to give him a small, non-lethal shock so that we can jumpstart his heart. The villainess complied as she hid her blush from touching Naruto's bare chest under an absolute serious tone on her face. Clear, Livewire said as Naruto's body jumped from the small jolt. Seeing no response, Liverwire charged up once more and said, clear. Kushina and Minato watched in horror as their long-lost son's body jumped again from the shock. Minato couldn't keep his eyes off of his near-dying son as the former Hokage had never had those moments he had dreamed of after Naruto's disappearance and felt ashamed of how Arashi had turned out. Where did I go wrong? Minato thought as Naruto's body jumped once more. Kushina fell to her knees with tears falling from her face as her baby boy was laying on the cold floor dying. She held him and Arashi inside of herself for almost a year before holding them in her arms during the years after their birth and before Arashi had met the Kyuubi. Kami, Kushina silently prayed as she couldn't see the two women going back to performing CPR, please let Naruto live. A loud gasp was heard from Naruto before a series of coughs erupted from his throat. Naruto, Livewire cried in joy as she wrapped the blonde before her in a hug, thank God you're alive. The sound of sirens was heard outside as two men rushed in carrying a stretcher and ordered the crowd to move out of their way. Livewire and Dr. Jones stood up as the two men loaded Naruto onto the stretcher as the doctor said, thank you for helping me save Mr. Wilson's life. The villainess guiltily looked away as she said, I just didn't want to lose the one guy who helped me with my life. It's not easy trying to be with him without drawing attention to myself. You got that right, said a voice as everyone looked to see Superman approaching Livewire with an aura of authority. You're coming with me, Livewire. The villainess gave the Man of Steel an annoyed look as she said, I'm not in the mood for our usual banter and battle, so get out of my way. Superman held his ground until Dr. Jones took a couple of steps towards him and said, believe it or not, Livewire here did help stop some of the more serious damages that Mr. Wilson might have suffered without her aid, and everyone here can testify to it. Now please get out of our way so that we can get Mr. Wilson to the hospital. But what if she tries something? Superman asked, despite getting a few looks from the civilians watching. I can't risk that. I'm going while my colleagues arrive to deal with her. Angered, Livewire charged up her fist as she said, "Sorry, Soup, but this is a personal matter that neither you nor your friends can get involved with. Get out of my way, or so help me all." Leslie Chan, Naruto weakly said from the ambulance, causing Livewire to let the charged attack fade away. "Don't do it. He's not worth it." The villainess gave Superman venomous glare before jumping into the ambulance next to Naruto with Dr. Jones following her. Superman stood in the market, listening to some of the whispers about what had transpired, before leaving the place and following the ambulance from the air. Just what is going on? The Man of Steel thought as he used his X-ray vision to look inside the ambulance to keep an eye on Livewire while the villainess flipped him off through a feeling she had. Hope Bruce is having better luck than I am. In the watchtower, Robin walked through the halls as it has been a few days since he and his team had ran into Reaper. The boy wonder couldn't get the images of Reaper taking his team down so easily and effective while aiding Livewire with stealing the T-Car. Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg had gotten off easy as they were knocked unconscious, while Robin had some cracked bones and a few broken ribs, and Starfire had to wait a while until she got movement again, along with getting all of those cactus needles out of her skin. Damn it, Robin swore in anger as he punched the metal wall. Could things get any worse? Dude, Beast Boy's voice echoed from the nearby room where the rest of the Titans were at. You have to see this. Robin ran inside to see what was going on as the changeling pointed towards the television. A supposed family reunion through the aid of multi-millionaire Bruce Wayne led into an ugly altercation between Naruto Wilson, actor and former MMA fighter, and the alleged family members, said the anchorwoman as an amateur video of Naruto easily taking down a red-haired teen before running off with a woman wearing a hooded sweatshirt that hid her face. The alleged brother of young Mr. Wilson then began to destroy a small portion of the diner that Mr. Wilson and the woman were visiting, while the alleged parents chased after the actor and former MMA fighter until reaching a local market where Mr. Wilson had surprisingly suffered from a small heart attack. Each of the Titans' hearts froze for a second about what had happened before the image then showed an anchorman at the very market where Naruto had his heart attack. "Thank you, Kathy," said the anchorman as a few officers were on scene taking notes from witnesses. "I'm here at the location where Naruto Wilson had suffered from his heart attack after being chased by a couple who have claimed to be his parents." The many witnesses had reported that through the efforts of local Dr. Rita Jones, and Mr. Wilson's girlfriend, Leslie Willis aka Livewire, the actor was revived and taken to the hospital where Mr. Wilson will recover from the attack. "Now if I'm mistaken, Sam," said Kathy as the television was showing the two reporters side by side in separate windows, "you said that Livewire, one of Superman's villains, is Mr. Wilson's girlfriend?" Sam nodded as he said, "Yes, and many of the witnesses here can acclaim that Livewire had revealed that she is indeed Mr. Wilson's girlfriend." Superman had arrived at the scene to apprehend Livewire and prevent her from reaching the hospital where Mr. Wilson was taken to, but eventually relented before being seen following the ambulance. The Titans were shocked. A celebrity like Naruto Wilson was dating a villainess, while most celebrities would rather run away from the League's enemies. Local authorities are now looking for the couple that claimed to be Mr. Wilson's parents to bring in for questioning, Sam said as a picture of Minato and Kushina was being shown on the screen. Bruce Wayne will also be questioned about bringing the alleged family of Mr. Wilson while paying for the damages done by the red-haired teen along with Mr. Wilson's hospital bills, in hopes of showing that Mr. Wayne had no ill intentions for everything that had happened. Robin let out an annoyed sigh about his mentor, Guardian, having to try and dodge the public even more now. "We'll have more information later this evening," said Kathy before the boy wonder turned off the television. "Seems like there's more to Mr. Fox and his family than anyone knows," said Cyborg as he leaned back on the chair he was sitting on. "Why would Naruto not be happy to see his family after 12 years? Starfire asked as she still had some bandages on her body. Minato said that Naruto ran away after feeling neglected while Arashi abused him. Raven stated as she looked up from her book, "Who wouldn't run away?" The empath made a point as Beast Boy and Starfire shifted uncomfortably at the statement, understanding Naruto's point of view about family. Speaking of Arashi, said the changeling as he looked around really carefully, has anyone felt this scary aura about him? Robin noticed Raven giving Beast Boy a hidden look of shock as Cyborg said, well, Arashi is from that shinobi world just like his parents and apparently Naruto as well. He's pretty skilled from what I've heard, so he probably has a scary reputation like Minato and Kushina. Beast Boy shook his head and said, no, it's not that. I mean, sure, he probably has killed before during that invasion back in his home world. But this aura, it's scary, Trigon scary. Everyone froze at the mere mentioning of the demonic being as memories of facing Raven's father reappeared in their minds. It was quiet until Raven suddenly said, I thought that my powers were acting up after Reaper took us down. Now that Beast Boy felt it too, most likely from his animalistic senses, I think there's more to Arashi than we know. Care to elaborate? Cyborg asked as he never thought about the redhead other than that the guy was extremely grouchy. Well, Raven began as she closed her book and set it aside, while Arashi has the same powers as Minato and Kushina, albeit not as strong or as skilled. He has something far more powerful inside of him, something dangerous. I don't know what it is, but my powers are somehow reacting to Arashi's aura and it's unsettling. Robin brought a hand to his chin as he began to think on what was revealed to him. What was Arashi hiding and does Minato and Kushina know about it? Does it involve Naruto in a way? Robin would have to ask Bruce for more information once the man returns from visiting Naruto in the hospital. Something is going on here, Robin thought as he was soon lost in his thoughts while the others left the room and headed towards the mess hall, but what is it? Back on Earth, Bruce was walking through the halls of the hospital in hopes of finding Naruto's room. He eventually found it thanks to a reluctant nurse giving him the right directions. Bruce stood at the doorway to see Naruto and Livewire kissing with the blonde sporting a black eye on his face. Bruce knocked on the open door before he felt two glares pointed towards him from the couple before him. Did you bring them here as well, Mr. Wayne? Naruto said with agitation in his voice. No, said Bruce as he held his hands up for verbal defense, it's just me and me alone. Why did you bring them? Naruto then asked as he still held his glare on the multimillionaire, better yet, how did they even get here? Bruce professionally feigned innocence as he said, I heard about a couple searching for their runaway child and I flew them here from Japan so that I could help them. Bullshit, Naruto yelled loudly, knowing that he startled some nearby nurses and patients. I know how they really got here. They recreated the very same incident that brought me here. I'm not sure if they had help or just pure dumb luck that they arrived here, but I'm only going to say this once. Bruce could hear the distinct sound of hospital shoes as he saw Naruto's eyes narrowing. Send them back, the blonde plainly demanded, and don't think that I don't know about your connection to the Justice League. I'm not sure how, but I do know that the Justice League wasn't given that little space station of theirs as such an advanced station could have easily sent a small country far down into the red that not even any deity of wealth could possibly bail them out. Excuse me, said a doctor as he entered the room, is there a problem here? Naruto kept his sights on Bruce while he said, no problem here, Doc. Mr. Wayne here was just leaving after telling me that he will pay for my hospital bill since he was the one that brought those people here. Bruce nodded as he bid the group a farewell before beginning retreating with a slightly faster speed than he had when he arrived, all the while thinking about how Naruto knew about his connection to the League. It couldn't have been a small bout of paranoia, but then again, the celebrity could have said it to shake him up since Bruce was the one that brought Naruto's family to him. Now I'm paying for damages to a restaurant and Naruto's hospital bill for that heart attack, Bruce thought as he knew that he would be targeted for negative attention for his actions. At least I'm not going to be the only one under fire since Naruto Wilson is dating a known criminal. Hey Bruce, said a familiar voice as the multi-millionaire looked to see Clark Kent with a small notepad in his hand. I was wondering where I could find Naruto as I heard that he was involved with a slight altercation and that he was dating one of Superman's enemies. Know which way his room is? Bruce pointed down the way he just came from as he whispered, watch yourself, Clark. He knows about how his family arrived here. Clark smiled and said, thanks Bruce. I hope that Mr. Wilson will be feeling more hospitable while I talk to him. Bruce nodded as he and his colleague went their separate ways for the moment. Minato and Kushina were going through the halls under the guise of a genjutsu to avoid getting attention as they walked past Naruto's room again. I can't believe how much Naruto has changed. Minato said as he looked around while helping his wife keep their genjutsu up. I knew that Naruto wouldn't be as welcoming because of what we did. But this is actually quite more drastic than I had originally thought. Kushina nodded as she said, I know. He was able to take Arashi down with his taijutsu skills. What are we going to do now? Minato looked at a nearby television to see their pictures before he said, I'm not sure, but we'll have to avoid the public eye for a while until we can think of something. Maybe we could join the Justice League and protect Naruto from afar. Kushina hummed as she did like the idea of protecting their rogue son. Although it might be difficult as they couldn't risk making the same mistake as the consequences could be more dire than before. That might work, Kushina thought as she desperately wanted to make things right with Naruto. We would be able to watch over him like we should have from the beginning. In his room, Naruto saw the same blonde nurse wheeling the same raven-haired man through the hall for the 4th time and knew that they weren't what they were. Genjutsu, Naruto thought as he kept feigning sleep. Of course they would stick to their shinobi tactics of staying out of sight by hiding in plain sight. The blonde moved his back a bit as he was now beginning to plan on how to counter whatever both the League and his parents would do. That fight only showed a touch of my physical prowess, Naruto thought as he saw the same nurse and patient pass by again. You will be quite surprised with what the Reaper is capable of. An alarm at one of Gotham's banks blared as a few of Two-Face's goons were holding the tellers at gunpoint while a few other goons were greedily stuffing the money bags with as much money as their rough hands could grab. Gotta thank the boss's informant about bats not being in Gotham tonight, said one of the goons as he adjusted the cigar in his mouth. Hitting banks and jewelry stores should be much easier with him too far to stop us. Too bad you didn't think about him having others watch over while he's gone, said a mysterious voice as a goon was somehow carried away by chains. The goons heard their comrade getting beaten before hearing the sound of crashing metal and fighting just outside the building. Who's there? One goon asked as he pointed the Tommy gun around in hopes of finding the voice's owner. Show yourself. A bright yellow flash shone before fading away with 2 more goons falling to the ground unconscious. The leader of the goons scanned the area with his Tommy gun ready to fire when he saw a man with spiky blonde hair wearing a headband with a metal plate, a face mask that hid the lower part of his face, blue pants, a matching blue shirt with a dark green vest over it, and a large white coat with red flames designed on the bottom holding a fist into his hand. Who are you? Said the leading goon before firing a few bursts from his machine gun, but missed as the man disappeared in a bright flash of light. Where my family and I are from, it's customary for you to introduce yourself first, said the man as he was suddenly behind the goon. I think I'll just go ahead and tell you my name since you and your friends could spread the word. I am Hirai. The lead goon then saw a woman with red hair wearing black pants, a black shirt under the same green vest as Hirai, and the same headband as Hirai on her head with a similar face mask as well. That's my lovely wife, Shinobi, said Hirai as a young man wearing blood-red ninja garbs. A long red sash that hung from behind him like a tail. A porcelain mask in the form of a fox. And a red headband with a metal plate similar to the man and woman wrapped around his right bicep entered dragging 2 goons that were beaten black and blue. That is my son, Kyuubi. We're new here so if you don't mind. Hirai gave the goon a quick knockout chop as Kyuubi tossed the 2 beaten goons between him and his parents. Tell me again why we're here instead of with the others at Metropolis? Kyuubi asked as he crossed his arms in annoyance. I'd rather fight some of the more powerful villains there than these rabble. Hirai sighed before he said, because Batman wanted to see how we handle things here in this world, son. I know that these criminals are not much of a challenge for our skills. But we cannot just go off fighting some of the major criminals. Shinobi placed a few goons that she tied up with regular rope in the pile as she added, do not forget that even though Bat-senpai had given us these translators so that people here can understand us and vice versa, we are still unfamiliar with this world. We don't know about their laws and technologies. The sound of clapping alerted the trio to a cloaked figure standing on the top of the door to the bank's safe. I wouldn't expect Bat-teme to have people babysit his stomping grounds, the figure coolly said before jumping down to the floor as everyone saw his skull-like mask. You 3 took Two-Face's goons down like him, but Bat-teme wouldn't be as flashy as you 3 were nor would he rip a car in half if he could. Shinobi drew her sword and glared towards the figure while Hirai and Kyuubi got into their fighting stances as she said, Reaper. What brings you here? Just going for a small stroll, Reaper stated without much concern. I have always enjoyed a nightly stroll through the city as it makes me feel like a ninja at times. Kyuubi quickly charged into a tackle towards the assassin, ignoring his parents' warnings, but somehow passed through Reaper. As Kyuubi here has revealed, Reaper said knowingly, I'm not really here as this is just a hologram projected by one of the many robots given to me by one of my associates. Even if I were here, you wouldn't be able to touch me anyway as I wouldn't let such a barbaric tactic get even 5 feet before tossing Kyuubi like an empty water bottle. Hirai-Ishin got out of his stance but still remained alert as he then asked, then why reveal yourself to us, Reaper? Just playing a game of chess, Hirai-Ishin, said Reaper as his image sat in midair. I believe it's your turn, but know that even if I should lose a few pawns, I'm already thinking of my counterattacks. Plan wisely. The image of Reaper blinked away as a small robot that was floating in the air then grew metal appendages and began to attack Kyuubi. Hey, get off of me you piece of shit. The red ninja growled before blasting the small robot with a burst of wind from his palm. The robot shattered into tiny pieces after coming into contact with one of the polished marble columns. That coward, Kyuubi said as he took a glance at the destroyed robot on the floor, if I ever see him in the flesh, I'll. Kyuubi, that's enough, said Hirai-Ishin with authority in his voice. Let's get these criminals to jail and tell the League about this. Reaper had obviously planned this to probably see what the Justice League would have done. Now let's go. As the heroes took the criminals away, none of them noticing Reaper watching them from the roof. Like I said Hirai-Ishin, Reaper said as he continued to observe the scene below, I have already thought up of a few counterattacks to what you and the League have done. Naruto walked through the parking lot of the prison after visiting Livewire who had been turned in by Superman while the woman was taking the T-car out for a little joyride. It was a week after his little attack, when he had stopped his heart and he watched Bruce try and dodge reporters left and right as he did bring his family. Naruto had to admit that it was fun to watch Batman squirm while the Caped Crusader had to spend barely a fraction to pay for the hospital bill. Hope the Titans like the little gift I had left for them, Naruto thought as he chuckled as he could already imagine Cyborg's look after viewing the gift that was left behind. Even though the Teen Titans were teens, he wanted them to be exposed to something more adult. He had a victory chuckle as he thought that he and Talia had broken the suspension from the little video shoot they had. Naruto's humor quickly vanished as he saw Kushina waiting for him by his car. How can I help you, Mrs. Namikaze? Naruto asked defensively as he sent an unwelcoming glare towards the woman. Can't a mother check up on her son? Kushina answered as gently as possible so that she could avoid an incident like the one just 4 days ago. How's your heart, dear? Alright, Naruto said as he continued to stare down his former mother. Docs told me to take it easy with some of my activities. No heavy exercises or having fun with my girlfriend for a while until they give me the all clear. Of course stopping my own heart did buy me time to plan, Naruto thought as he mentally smirked at causing that little public scare. How could you even go that far with a criminal like Livewire? Kushina asked with slight disappointment, Minato-kun and I raise you better than that. Okay first off, Naruto said as he crossed his arm in annoyance. The two of you hardly raised me as the two of you doted all of your time with that abusive brother of mine. Secondly, the two of us had only been dating for about a couple of weeks and even though we have slept in the same bed and have our little messages, we haven't gone that far, yet. Finally, I don't believe her as the criminal that everyone paints her to be as it was that bastard, Superman, that turned her into what she had become. That's not true, Kushina tried to counter. Superman was trying to stop her from endangering people that were at her concert when her accident had happened. He pushed her away when she was about to be struck by lightning from her mistake. Oh, so it's her fault that she was turned into an outcast? Naruto swiftly countered with slight anger in his voice. Leslie wanted to be turned into a monstrosity from her one little mistake while the so-called Man of Steel is allowed to make many mistakes and cause thousands of dollars in damages and not get into all that trouble during a fight with any of his adversaries? I've seen articles where Superman had bruises, bleeding badly, and even buried by a building that he smashed into after some of his more troublesome fights, all the while one person who doesn't like the bastard get into deep shit for just trying to find a little bit of justice in their lives. Wait, please, said Kushina as she wanted to avoid causing a further rift between her and Naruto. I'm sorry for what had happened that day and your father is too. Just, come back to us and we can be a family again. Naruto shook his head as he said, as I've already said Kushina, You and your family lost that chance years ago when I wanted to become a ninja like you guys. I still can't believe that I used to look up to the two of you before being abandoned by you both because I couldn't mold chakra. I was just dead weight in your eyes." The blonde had to keep himself of having a small victory smirk as he had actually made one of Konoha's most feared kunoichi cringe painfully from the statement alone. "We're sorry about that too," Kushina said as she was reminded of Lee. "We were foolish to not provide training for you in taijutsu and kenjutsu. We had a ninja who couldn't mold chakra just like you. But he showed us that he didn't need to use ninjutsu or genjutsu as he was extremely powerful thanks to his training in taijutsu alone. He reminded us of you and showed us what could have been if we had trained you along with your brother. So that could allow him to abuse me while making it look like training accidents," Naruto thought as he stole a glance at his watch and saw that he had to be at the studio as he had to go meet his agent with the upcoming parade he was supposed to be in and talk about possible roles in a few movies. "Now if you don't mind," Naruto said as he walked past Kushina, "I need to meet up with my agent." The blonde was about to open the door of his car when the sound of thunder echoed from the sky. "Before you meet with your agent," Kushina asked with a slight begging tone, "could you take me to Denny's so that I could meet up with your father?" Letting out a small sigh, Naruto remembered that the rain was going to be heavy and said, "Sure, just don't mess with my things." Happy that her son agreed to take her to where she was to meet Minato, Kushina quickly got in the passenger side as Naruto started up the car and drove out of the parking lot. Things were quiet in the car as Kushina felt the dense atmosphere between her and Naruto. "So," Kushina asked as she tried to break the tension, "how's Livewire?" The blonde turned down into the street to his right and said, "Leslie Chan's alright considering that her cell's specifically designed to contain her. Most likely thanks to Mr. Wayne and Superman." Hearing the disgusted tone in Naruto's voice when he mentioned Bruce, Kushina asked, "Why don't you like Mr. Wayne? He was only trying to help us become a family again. What do you think?" Naruto challenged Kushina as he stopped at a red light as the rain pounded on the car's windshield. Feeling the tension returning, Kushina then said, "I saw a few of your movies along with your father and Arashi. You're really quite the actor in your movies." Naruto had to admit that he couldn't hold the smirk as he said, "Not one to brag, but I do have a few Grammys and other awards under my belt. I've even hosted a few award shows myself, even gone to a few roasts, and even had one of my own." Pulling up to the Denny's, Naruto saw Minato waiting inside the restaurant and pulled out an umbrella. "Here," Naruto said as he handed Kushina the umbrella. "I may not like you for what you've done, but I'm not going to be cruel. Go ahead and keep it as I have another one." Kushina opened the door as she stepped out with the umbrella over her head and said, "Thank you, Naruto. It's good to see that you still care for us." Naruto scowled harshly as he said, "Don't push it." Kushina watched as Naruto shut the passenger side door and sped away before she stepped inside where her husband was waiting for her. "I must thank Wayne-san for that tracking device," Kushina thought as she folded the umbrella and thought back to the hidden tracking device attached to the underside of the bumper of Naruto's car. "I hate to spy on my little boy, but a mother must be there for her child." Naruto drove his car as he had a feeling that the escort that he had done was a setup by Batman to keep tabs on him after that little incident at the restaurant that Arashi had destroyed. "You are such a coward," Naruto thought as he began to plan his next move. "I am actually going to hate myself for sacrificing my knight. But sometimes the knights are at times a pawn themselves." Livewire was sitting in the lounge area with the other female inmates with the television going on. Apparently, the Justice League had just inducted 4 new heroes into their ranks by the names of Hiraishin, Shinobi, Kyuubi, and Mokuzai. She already had guesses on who 3 of them were, but Mokuzai had confused her as he was wearing black pants, a black sleeveless shirt under a silver-gray vest, black gloves with armguards, a mask in the shape of some sort of animal, and had a sword strapped to his back. Seems like Foxy's going to have his hands full with these new members, Livewire thought as she noted how some of the other inmates were reacting to the new members. Hope he has a plan for this since his family's with the League now. Night had fallen as Naruto was stepping out of a fancy restaurant after attending yet another roast. 2003 Honda Civic, Naruto said as he tossed the valet his car keys before he shot a glare at the teen. "If I see one tiny little scratch on my car, I will personally make your life a living hell and make your family change their names just to avoid being associated with you." The teen dashed away, frightened by the threat, as Naruto chuckled at the teen's reaction. They always fall for that, Naruto said with a laughing smirk as he waved to the other guest stars. When will they learn that I'm just joshing them? Boom! The parking lot shook violently from the explosion as Naruto and a few celebrities fell to the ground from the shock. The blonde felt something hit his head and saw the arm of the valet before him with a puddle of blood forming under it. Holy fuck! Naruto yelped in fright as he felt the blood soaking his now stained hair and backed away from the severed limb. Dude, said one of the nearby actors, I think that was your car. Naruto shot the man a sharp glare as a fire was forming right where he parked the car and shouted, "Ya think?" A few hours had passed as cops and detectives were observing the crime scene. Great. Just fucking great, Naruto said as he held the cup of coffee that the police had brought him in hopes of calming his nerves. I go to a harmless little roast and my car was set up with a damn bomb. Batman soon showed up and observed the remains of what used to be Naruto's car while a few other members of the Justice League were keeping an eye on the scene and taking notes from a few witnesses. Naruto Wilson, said a familiar voice as the actor looked up to see Superman before him. What do you want? Naruto asked venomously as he saw Kyuubi and an Anbu standing next to him. You've caused enough problems by throwing Leslie Chan in jail. The Man of Steel wanted to remind Naruto that his girlfriend was a criminal, but refrained from voicing it as he said, my colleague has examined what was left of your car and saw that it was the work of Toyman. Apparently he had used one of his many toys to be rigged to explode the moment you started your car. Naruto took a quick sip of the coffee before he said, guess that bastard owes me a new car then. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that's going to have to wait, said Batman as he suddenly appeared next to Naruto, because I'm going to place you under the watch of the Teen Titans as there is a possibility of another attack. I'll get you're seriously placing me in the hands of those brats? Naruto asked defiantly, considering that their leader was once your partner. I just know I'm going to feel safe now. Batman shot the blonde a glare before he said, I'll have someone waiting to take you to Jump City since you are going to be showing up at the parade next week. Naruto angrily sighed as he then said, just let me visit my girl before I leave and get my things packed. Batman watched Naruto get up and leave the scene as he pulled out his communicator so that he could tell the Titans of their mission. Naruto walked through the streets until he saw a cab driving by and called out to it. The blonde stepped in after the cab stopped and told the driver where to drop him off before his cell phone pulsed in his shirt pocket. Looking at the screen of his phone, Naruto saw that he got a text message from a Mr. Nicholas. I heard what happened, the message read as another popped up, are you okay? Naruto texted back that he was okay, but his car and the valet weren't. A new message popped up as it now read, OMG. The blonde sent another text saying that Toyman had rigged his car to explode and that the bastard owed him a new car. It was a few more seconds when a new message appeared and its contents caused Naruto to smirk a bit before shutting off the phone. Who was that? The cab driver asked, trying to strike up a conversation. Insurance company, said Naruto, always trying to soften the blow of accidents with their cheap attempts and little reminders of my coverage. What had really transpired was that Naruto was talking to Toyman and thanking him for creating a duplicate of his car and placing Batman's tracking beacon on the decoy. Now that that favor has been repaid, Naruto thought as he decided to stare out the window while the driver continued heading towards the specified location. At Titan's Tower, Cyborg was busy trying to clean and replace the inside of his car after finding a little gift that Reaper just happened to give him. I still can't believe that asshole had the nerve of defiling my baby like that, the robotic teen roared as he took out the last seat from inside that he was going to throw into the furnace later. The gift that was left for the Teen Titans was a video of Reaper having over and over again with some blonde chick for what was revealed to be hours. That image and feeling will never leave me, Cyborg thought as he was also working on replacing the electrical systems of his car as they were completely fried. I'm afraid not even erasing the memory of that will keep the feeling away. The garage door opened to reveal Raven walking in and eyeing the car seats that were sitting in a pile. I hope you plan on burning those, Raven said as she and the others just had to watch that video Reaper had left for them, either that or just send the whole car to the junkyard and build another one, again. Cyborg wiped the sweat and grease from his forehead as he had contemplated the idea, but his car had too many added features to just scrap it out in the open. Can't say the idea hadn't crossed my mind, the metallic teen said as he looked at Raven, so what's up? Robin got a message from Batman that we will be acting as bodyguards for Naruto Wilson. Raven answered. Apparently Toyman didn't like the car Naruto had and blew it up along with a valet. Cyborg looked at Raven as if the girl had just changed clothes right before him and grew another head as he then said, "You mean we're going to be bodyguards for the fantastic Mr. Fox?" Cyborg seemed to have forgotten about Reaper having in his car as he kept going on about Naruto's time as a MMA fighter, with Raven rolling her eyes while she was jumping for joy about getting a chance of getting an autograph by the actor. Robin was looking at a small frame he had extracted from the little gift Reaper had given Cyborg as the frame was focused on the face of the woman. He tried to ignore the feeling as he examined the woman's face from the different frame shots that he extracted. Robin's eyes narrowed as he knew who this woman was and hid his surprise about her as he whispered her name. Talia. At the prison, Naruto was at one of the booths at the visitors center of the prison as Livewire sat on the other side of the glass. "Hey babe," the blonde started with a small playful smirk on his face. "Hey Foxy," Livewire said as she sent a playful smirk of her own. "How's life on the other side?" Naruto let out a sigh as he said, "Well, apparently Toyman tried to kill me for some reason and everyone seems to be talking about the Justice League getting some new heroes." The villainess nodded as she said, "Yeah, and apparently one of them looks exactly like you and that guy from a week ago. Maybe that's why Toyman decided to blow up my car," Naruto said with slight anger in his voice. "I should probably have the Justice League make that new hero of theirs change their look so that I'm not going to be targeted for assassinations." The blonde crossed his arms as he then added, "Batman is also sending me to Jump City so that I could be protected by the Teen Titans." "What?" Livewire asked with shock. "You mean to tell me that those bastards are separating us further apart?" Naruto sighed as he said, "I actually wouldn't be surprised if that was also the reason. You are dating a celebrity while most would just run away, no thanks to those jerks." Naruto then placed a hand on the protective glass as Livewire done the same as the blonde said, "But much like the works of Shakespeare, our love shall know no boundaries, and shall the League continue with keeping us apart, they will only end up performing one of William's more tragic love stories." "You were always such a poet," Livewire said with a chuckle. "I guess I'll give you a little gift before you leave." The villainess lifted up her shirt and flashed her boyfriend her pale BC-sized breasts, surprising the blonde and Shinobi who was watching from behind a genjutsu. Livewire covered herself back up as Naruto then chuckled and said, "Damn. Hope I can see more later, Sparky, or perhaps have a small little bonus once you're out." "Mr. Wilson," said Shinobi as she removed the genjutsu, "I think it would be best if we get you into the custody of the Teen Titans as soon as possible. You will still be able to communicate to your girlfriend." Naruto shot the heroine a venomous glare as he said, "Sure, whatever you say, Mom. Can't I have some privacy as well, or did you learn how to be as pervert like either Superman or Wonder Woman? Hell, I'm pretty sure that Fire is a closet exhibitionist considering how she's butt naked when she uses her powers with only small flames covering her delicates." Naruto then looked back at Livewire and said, "Guess I won't be able to see you as much, Sparky." The blonde brought a couple fingers up to his lips and kissed them before placing them on the glass. Livewire then brought two of her own fingers onto the glass parallel to Naruto's before placing them on her lips. "I love ya, Foxy," said Livewire with a loving smirk. "I love you too, Sparky," said Naruto as he sent his own loving smirk before getting up and leaving the visitors center with Shinobi following him. "I can't wait to see what you have in store for later," Livewire whispered as she left the room with the guards escorting her to her specialized room. "Especially for the League."
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.